like now.
There's the notification that we're live. Let me mute my phone.
Yep, that's a good idea. That's pro tip: mute phones before show starts live. I'm just making sure I'm muted. Hello and welcome to episode 295 of Slamfire Radio. Today is March 14th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another one, Trevor.
I'm Kelly.
And Matthew was chasing down a pig. He said something about pork chops. He was hungry. Kids were hungry.
Like he
had to get it.
Yeah, he likes his meat really, really fresh.
Raw. I think he said he wanted rare pork chops. That's a little bit weird.
That's called
You're
tapeworm.
supposed to do that?
It's called what, Kelly?
Trichinosis?
Trichinosis, tapeworm.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't know that you could get that from pork. First time I ever heard of that was from bear when I started hunting bear.
Serious?
People are like, you better make sure that you freeze your bear this frozen for this long because it kills the trichinosis. And then when you cook it, you gotta cook it at this temperature for this long because it kills the trichinosis. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I can't spell it. I can't pronounce it.
You want to lose some weight, and then you don't.
Oh, okay. So that's the ultimate weight loss program. Eat raw bear.
Or pork.
You guys ever watch that show, The Meat Eater, on YouTube? Not YouTube, Netflix?
Yep.
No.
He got it. Like, he will eat stuff within a minute of shooting it. And he doesn't always cook everything the way he's supposed to. So he ate some bear that wasn't cooked properly in the bush.
That one, he said his buddy cooked it.
Oh, his buddy cooked it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe he cooked it, but he didn't cook it correctly.
Right, because he ended up with the old trichinosis.
A little rare. A little
Horrible,
rare on the bear.
by the way.
Yeah, why you had it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've had trichinosis?
Mm-hmm.
And
raw pork. It wasn't cooked enough.
would you recommend it as a weight loss technique for our listeners or no?
Absolutely not. You do not want to go through that.
Is it like all ends? Everything is just evacuating from everywhere?
No, after you go to the doctor, yeah.
Really? So what is it? It's a parasite?
It's a parasite.
Huh.
You don't want it. It's not good.
All right.
Cook your pork.
Cook your
people.
pork.
So tapeworm is the better option.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not better either.
It's not good either?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't Parasite Slam Radio, so let's move on.
All right. What we did with guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. What do they got this week, Trevor?
They are the new Canadian distributor for Phoenix pistols. So if you're unfamiliar with Phoenix pistols, the best way I can describe them to you is to say that they are a Tanfoglio or CZ clone. And I'd say they're a Tanfo clone, but a Tanfo is a clone of a CZ, but they resemble a Tanfoglio more than a CZ. So if you don't know what those are essentially IPSC pistols. Obviously you can use them in other sports or just use them for planking, but they are designed primarily to be a competition pistol. But Phoenix offers, they're Swiss made, by the way. So, they work like a knife. There's all these cool things that you can flip out of them. That's how that works, right?
You were going to say like a Swiss watch?
I was going to say a Swiss watch, but I figure a Swiss knife, army knife.
Swiss army knife?
Yeah. But really,
Except
they don't
shoots bullets.
Right. It's like a Swiss army knife that shoots bullets. So
doesn't even have. It probably comes with a bottle opener somewhere on there.
Somewhere. Yeah. Well, you just smash the top off the bottle with the butt, and you're good. So, they've got a couple of different models. They've got some aluminum polymer models. They've got steel, aluminum. So there's your super lightweight pistol. The slide is aluminum and the frame is aluminum. These are double action, single action predominantly. They do have, I think, one, possibly the Fusion Compact might be a striker fired because I don't see a hammer in the pistol, but so they seem to have everything from competition to carry. And
the one you want is the red back. That's the steel one. 3 pounds, 2.92 pounds if you want to get fancy. 3 pounds, heavy and big.
Yeah.
Proper competition pistol.
You got it. Yeah. So if you want one, you have to get it from the Calgary Shooting Center, otherwise you're a communist. And they're the only ones carrying them for now.
Really?
Can we get Jeff on, load Kelly up with some booze, and then ask for free ones?
Absolutely. I think we should do this. And we got to load Jeff up too, because Jeff is a newfie and he's pretty much legally required to have a certain constant alcohol blood level. And if we get him loaded and get her loaded, it'll be free guns for everybody.
Sweet. It's a plan.
Listeners, you can take part in that.
Yeah. What do you mean? No.
Just us?
Yeah.
They can watch us get loaded.
They can watch us get. They can watch you get loaded and watch Adriel and I load our new guns.
Speaking of loaded, what did you do?
This is me, Kelly, suddenly pretending I'm the lead host.
Trevor?
Yes.
I love you. What did you do in guns this week?
I love you too. I refuse to comply. When Adriel tells me it's time to move on, it's time to move on. Adriel's the lead host. You're not the boss of me this week. Adriel is.
Let me try. Trevor, what did you do in guns this week?
Oh, funny you should ask. So I brought that long branch that I picked up last weekend at the gun dealer in Fredericton, outside of Fredericton, to Captain Andy to have the holes plugged. So I don't know what we talked about last week with regards to the holes, but to sum up real quickly, someone did a really horrible job of drilling and tapping the receiver for a Lyman target site. And when I got it to Andy's, we looked closely. Only one of the holes was in fact drilled and tapped. The other one was drilled, but it was drilled with 3 different sized drill bits and never actually all the way through and never actually tapped. So Andy had no problem plugging the first hole. He just basically plugged it with a screw and then milled it down flush. The second one didn't come out the way he liked, so I left it with him because he just wasn't going to accept it. He knew he could do better. The first hole, when blended, essentially disappeared, and once he threw some cold bluing on there, that's not the proper finish, but he just wanted to see what it would look like with some kind of finish on there. It's gone. You can't see it. You don't even know that there was ever a hole there. So
yeah, I saw the pics online that he posted. He did a great job plugging your holes.
Like he's the Adriel. He did a great job the first time. The second time he wasn't satisfied with himself, so he's like, "No, we're gonna plug that better.
Okay,
leave your holes here."
We just need to move on from this.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure I can really go dig down into a deep hole here.
Nope.
Anyway, he did decide, and we decided together that the rifle would stay there, and he would give the second hole a second crack. And sure enough, he got it just perfectly blended the second time. And like the first one, you cannot tell that it was ever there. So yeah, so we got that done. We did that, I don't know, Friday night. Yeah, so we went down Friday night, and then something else cool about this long branch. It had the markings MP on it, and I hadn't looked them up yet, but shout out to Matt from Wolverine Supplies in Manitoba. Matt, the owner's son, co-owner, whatever, Matt Hipwell, he noticed the MP. And for those of you that don't know, Matt left his career with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to work with his father at Wolverine. And he noticed that MP, and he knew what that MP was. That MP stands for Mounted Police. So I did a little bit of research online, and it turns out that my long branch was one of 1,020 rifles that were issued to the Mounted Police.
Very cool.
Very, very cool.
What year was that?
43.
43?
Yeah. Now, what year it was issued, I don't know, but the rifle is dated 43. I don't know when they were issued. I'm sure if we do a bit more reading, and actually Matt said he was going to find me some information when he got back from where he was, and so I'll read up on it some more. So
cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And what else? Hold on, I got to add this. And then I picked up the caliber conversion kit for 45, and I ordered the parts needed to convert it to 308, 243, and 30-06. A lot of the caliber conversion kit parts for 45 are the same parts you would get in a caliber conversion kit for 308 and 30-06, with the exception of 3 pieces: the powder funnel for the powder measure, and the plastic bits that move the cases from the case feeder into the shell plate. So I spent $83 and got a whole, now I can use that 1 caliber conversion kit for 2 calibers, as instead of paying $130 for one and $130 for another one, and half of the parts being the same, I'm just going to double up, right? So, yeah. And then Saturday morning, I went to Moncton, and I got to hang out with Filthy and Ginger Snaps and Dawn and the Mini Snaps. And yeah, we went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, time change.
Yeah.
So
it's too late to keep children up.
True, but well, actually,
You sent us messages too.
Yeah, and the mini snaps were in bed way before that. Probably their old man was too, because he bailed on us. Like he's dead to me. He came over for like 5 minutes, brought the kids, and then we went to eat at the keg. And then after the keg, he was supposed to bring the kids home. And all of a sudden, I'm getting these whiny, bitchy texts. I can't come over. I can't leave my wife alone tonight. I'm like, really, dude? Like you had like the rest of your life to see your wife. I'm here this weekend. You can't come back over? Dead to me.
He's probably watching and listening.
Whatever. I don't care. He can watch and listen all he wants. He knows what he did. You know what you did, Ginger Snaps. I'm the one snapping now. You know what you did. And then it's bad enough he didn't want to see me. He had the gall to throw his wife under the bus and blame his wife. Like that's bad mojo. So I don't.
Maybe just need to spend some time with her.
Well, if I had to pick between him and her, I'd definitely pick her. Anyway. The reason why I went to Captain Andy's was not just to bring in my long branch, but to pick up my Dillon Square Deal B press. So to the listeners who ask us for recommendations for loading presses, if all you're ever going to do is reload pistol, you got really, I think, kind of two choices: a turret press or this press.
Don't get a turret press for pistol.
Sometimes
they're so slow. Get a used Square Deal every single day.
You're right, but sometimes it's a question of budget. So if your budget doesn't allow for a use Dillon, I would recommend a turret press.
Get a second job and make some money and get the Dillon, or just buy factory ammo. It's not worth the time unless you're making like 357 or some weird or expensive rounds. But if you're making 9mm or 45, get the Dillon or get a second job and buy factory.
Well, the Dillon, get a second job until you can pay off the Dillon and then, quit.
Yeah.
But so this being said, the Dillon Square Deal was still in the box. It had been used, according to the owner, to load a whopping 4,000 rounds of 9mm. So it's in excellent shape, still in the original box. All the paperwork and everything was there, set up for 9mm. The price on the box was $550. I paid $375. So they're out there, and you can get a good deal on them. And you're gonna make fun of me, Adriel, and that's fine. It's totally appropriate. But I've got more than $375 wrapped up in my turret press with all the accessories.
I mean, I'm not going to make fun of you. That's the way it rolls. Sometimes as you're progressing, is you buy the single stage or the turret press, then you buy all the stuff to go on it, and then you find out, oh wait a minute, Progressive's way faster, and you find a Square Deal for $375 used, which has a lifetime warranty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're cranking out rounds, and you're like, well, your turret press never gets touched again, except for maybe your rifle rounds or something like that.
Yeah, like I think there's a used turret press, a used Dillon Square Deal on Marstar right now for like $275, and it looks a little rough, but who cares when the parts are free?
Yep.
Oh, I got a Square Deal with 1,000 miles on it. So what? Oh, this part's broken. Hello, Dillon. Yes, sir. We'll send you one right away. Thank you. They're guaranteed for life, and the warranties are transferable.
What's the number?
1-800-223-4570. So, now the thing about the Dillon Square Deal, it's a couple of things you need to know. It's only for pistol calibers. It uses proprietary dies, but so what? Caliber conversion cheaps. Everything about the Square Deal is cheaper than all the other Dillons. The dies are cheaper. The caliber conversion kits are cheaper. The other thing you need to know is you cannot use a case feeder unless you fabricate your own somehow. And I think those are the two big ones. It's pistol only, proprietary dies. That's it. Pistol only, proprietary dies, and no case feeder. So keep that in mind. If you can live with those things, and you can, you'll be happy.
For the price point, you're going to load the cases, load the bullets yourself, but you're going to have a very inexpensive press that cranks ammo out. And you're going to have it just set up for the one cartridge, and you're going to that's going to be the station that makes 9mm or 45 till the end of days.
That's it. You set it and forget it. 95% of the stoppages I have on my Dillon 650 are case feeding related. Either the brass, the case feeder at the top plugs up and causes brass to rain down on me, and I've got to stop what I'm doing and unplug that. Or a piece of brass comes into the shell plate upside down and won't feed into the shell plate. Those are like the two most common stoppages that the 650 have for me. Other people's mileage may vary. The other thing about the Dillon 650 is every time the shell plate rotates, a primer comes out of it. So you need to do something with the primer, catch cup at the bottom, which is not a cup. It doesn't catch anything. It's actually a ramp and sends the primers into orbit, and then they land somewhere on the floor. Or you need to get one of those bent pieces of wire that prevent it from working while you're working on the press. You lock it back, and then no primers feed. With the Dillon Square Deal B, that doesn't happen. It's auto indexing, meaning you don't rotate the shell plate manually. It rotates automatically when you work the handle up and down, but the primers don't go anywhere. They just stay there until you use one, and then it replaces it with a fresh one. So that is, for me, the coolest advantage over the 650.
Yeah.
So,
but if you get any powder in it, it's like all priming systems. You get some powder in it, and it screws up.
Yeah, but it's super easy to clean. 2 screws. Yeah. 2 screws accesses the primer feeding system, and you can wipe it down and clean it super quickly. So
off the back, 3.
In the front, there's 2.
The primer
3. You're right. 3. Yep. 3. Sorry. So to put it into perspective for you, with regards to rounds per hour, on my Dillon 650, I set the stopwatch for 6 minutes. And I routinely always load 100 in under 6 minutes. And that's not at a crazy rate. We did it once, Muffin and I, in 4 minutes and 40 seconds, we did 100 rounds. And that was just humming, right? But you're not supposed to go that fast. We just wanted to push it just to see what we could actually do on the clock. So, but it's no problem to load 100 rounds in 6 minutes. Like, that's crazy fast for those guys out there that are still loading on a single stage. They're like, oh my God, it takes me an hour to load 100 rounds. Yeah, so 6 minutes, 100 rounds. On the Dillon, it takes an average of 11 minutes to load 100 rounds. So it's just over 500 rounds in an hour. That's still fantastic. 500 rounds in an hour. I mean,
you can, if you got someone helping you, you can crank it up.
Yeah.
Like
you have to stop the empty trays and fill brass and fill bullets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I know because Will and I and my buddy Sean will sometimes reload on the Square Deal, and we'll hit 1,000 rounds an hour just by getting help, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Pedro's on. Cool. We'll talk more about him in a second.
Stop talking about him, you mean?
Yeah.
No, actually, Pedro.
But you had to do that, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Like he's never heard that before. All right,
Sorry,
so I bought another Lee Enfield. I almost bought 2 more Lee Enfields. There's a IPSC shooter from Nova Scotia who was liquidating a whole pile of stuff, and he had a beautiful long branch and a beautiful Lee Enfield BSA. And these were actually civilian rifles, but they looked like, full wood, full military configuration. But looking at the markings, I think that it was a civilian one. The only difference between it and the military one would be the markings, maybe. I'm still learning about the non-Mark IV Lee Enfields. I always said I was only going to collect Mark IVs, but this one is exceptionally nice, and it's really priced at a great, like, I've already been offered more money than what I'm paying for it. And I'm like, nope, no thank you. I'm good. Thank you. Sorry, Squire. What else? Oh, I loaded some 45 ACP on my 650, so I got my caliber conversion kit last week, and I got it installed and set up and tuned. I forgot that my shell plate is only for not 45. It does 9 and 40 and 38 and 357, even though the small pistol one is not supposed to be for those ones. But anyway, there's small pistol and large pistol. And apparently I need the large pistol. So I've unfortunately had to resort to filling the tube on the case feeder by hand, which is, God, it means every 23 cranks of the handle, I have to stop and fill it up again. But I made some beautiful X-Metal 230 grain Fat Man bullets. So And then today, this is exciting. Can we get the camera locked in over here, Adriel?
It's been locked in the whole time.
Oh, goodness. You should have told me. I may have been picking my nose or something. So,
not much.
I said Pedro was watching, which is really awesome because now I'm going to show off his stuff. So, you remember we were talking about that I had ordered this stuff. So, what this stuff is 3D printed IPSC or US BSA stage designing materials. So, it's actually miniature walls. Check that out. Miniature table for your table start stages. We got 2 different size walls. Oh, and by the way, this particular stage is sponsored by, yeah, that's right, Slamfire Radio.
I think they should all be sponsored, but all the miniatures at least are sponsored.
Right.
Pedro, those are awesome. I would play with these.
Well, you know what? I had to leave most of this downstairs because Christina said this is her plan for tonight in this order. Take a bath, drink some gin, and design stages.
Yeah.
She's downstairs at the table.
She's doing gutty stuff. That's all.
Yep. Of course, my match director mind's going to melt. I mean, you can't do that. That's not IPSC legal. What are you doing? And what's the pony doing in there? Like, stop it.
So you use G.I. Joe and you use Barbie.
Tons. Well, the president of IPSC Canada saw my post on Instagram. He says, "So, like, what scale are those? Lego, G.I. Joe, Hello Kitty, or
it's relatable.
My Little Pony." Like, no, they're. At first, I just said yes, and then I went back and said they're kind of almost like Lego guy-ish. But I mean, here's a 45-gallon drum. So the shooter's obviously got to be bigger than the 45-gallon drum for the scale to be right.
G.I. Joe would be the correct scale for that.
Possibly.
G.I. Joe.
That's what I thought too.
Possibly. Legos, I mean,
that barrel's the size of a Lego guy. Yeah, it's too tall.
Yeah, but if you put the barrel next to the wall, the scale is correct. Like, it's awesome. So, like, I'm downstairs building stages. So we've got an IPSC Facebook conversation going between me and Captain Andy and a couple of guys, Muffin. And so I told him, I said, you can kick me off this conversation thread right now, because I'm telling you, you're going to get sick of seeing these pictures. And I started flooding them with little miniature stages I was putting together. So check out the poppers, 3D printed poppers. And he's got more stuff coming. Oh, get this. I let him watch, I sent him some links to some videos to SummerSlam. Yep. So he watched the videos, and I told him, like, we got a bus, we got a lobster boat. Next thing you know, he's taking pictures of the 3D printed bus that he made for us and the boat. He actually printed me a bus. Yeah. Like, Restagush is going to have the coolest 3D USPSA printed set anywhere. Like, he's making custom stuff for our range. And there's another guy from Canada said, I was looking at that stuff. How long did it take to come in? I was like, I don't know, maybe 10 days. So it left California, cleared customs, and got here in like no time. It's actually been sitting at the post office for 3 days, but I haven't been able to get over there before closing because of like stupid stuff like work, right?
Don't they deliver it directly to your house and drop it off on your table?
What now?
Don't they deliver it directly to your house and drop it off on your table?
No, that was when I was working at the other school. They would bring the postman, woman actually, would deliver the school's mail to the school, and if I had a parcel, she walked down the hall, knock on the door, and give me my parcel in my classroom.
Nice.
Tires. Oh. Yeah, nice. But you got to remember, Adriel, I lived in a place where you're standing in line at the grocery store, and the phone rings, and the cashier goes over, answers the phone, goes, hangs up, goes, yeah, Trevor, that was your wife. She said, don't forget the margarine. You know, that's where I used to live. Hello, small town. So, yeah, there's a little 3D printed chair. So there's your chair, there's your table. And you've got
for the podcast listeners, basically Trevor's got like a whole bunch of tiny little scaled down props that are super useful for this stuff. You have to watch the video.
My Barbies.
Yeah. Yep. So I took I designed a stage today and took a picture, like just slightly overhead view of the stage. And then I took a picture of what the shooter would see looking through the port. And then I took a picture of what the shooter would see looking on the left side of the wall, then the right side of the wall. And anyway, I'm excited.
How fun was that?
Yeah, like I've been putting, normally I open up registration in September when the match is the following July or August. And then I start designing my stages. And often I've had them approved by November. But this year I haven't been motivated whatsoever to even talk about or look at stages. This has lit a fire under my butt to get back to work on designing stages. It got
Now you're playing, right?
Now
absolutely
you get playing.
Put them around on a table and mess around with it. It's not hard. You're not learning how to run like a 3D program. You're moving stuff around a table until it looks about right, and then you're taking a picture with your phone.
Yeah, and I immediately recognized, oh, you'll be able to see those targets from this port. On paper, it's not as easy. 3D on the table right in front of me, I was like, Like Colin commented today, he said, it's good, but it's not perfect. Like, you won't be able to see something. And I was like, well, actually, Colin, that's literally exactly what these will help you do. And it had something like shoot-throughs. He's like, how are you going to know if you have shoot-throughs? If you work with these, you will understand how you will know you will have shoot-throughs. Like, just look at some of the pictures they're going to be posting. And if you're a match director who's ever designed stages for a level 2 and above match, you'll get it. You'll totally get it. So, I got even more discouraged and less interested in designing my stages when I tried to learn SketchUp. Like, I guess this will be a spoiler. SummerSlam is going to be 20 stages this year. It's going to be the biggest match I ever put on. Yes?
I was going to ask, are you building anything else? Last year you built the house, right?
Right. No.
Are you doing major construction at all?
No. Well, next year, Kelly, we're hosting the Nationals in 2021.
Yep.
And we have our range inspection in 2020. So whatever money we make off the match this year is going to be used to get the range recertified. So no major purchases of props or no major construction jobs, nothing. Just pour it all back into the range and get all the bays resurfaced and the angles right and all that stuff. So that's the plan.
Okay.
So there's another spoiler. There will be no SummerSlam in 2020.
Because you have Nationals.
Yeah, but I got Nationals the next year, and my goal is to make it the biggest Nationals with as far as stages are concerned and with the amount of shooters. Because everything, say it with me, everything
is a contest.
Is a contest.
Oh, see, I won because I went first.
Well done, Kelly. Well done. All right, that's enough of my time. What about you, Adriel? What did you do?
All right, I think that's on me now. I went and shot some 22s. A lot of 22s.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
How long did it take
all the
you?
22.
So I put in, Will and I both put in 9 hours of shooting, and I'm about 30 or 40% complete. Just
Adriel,
yeah.
I love how one of the comments on Instagram was like, all this data already exists, right?
Not in one place. And I saw some of the reviews that people put out, and the accuracy wasn't good enough.
Nope.
So I think that it wasn't. It's not good enough data. So that's why I'm doing it. There is one where the data is definitely good enough. There's where is it? I think 6BR has like a quick synopsis of it. There's a big review that some guys did with a Bleeker 22. But they did mostly like Ely, mostly the high-end match stuff, and not the cheap garbage that I tested. And the cheap garbage shot like cheap garbage, which was a surprise to no one. This is going to take me so much time. So my goal for this was to try to get it done in like a couple of weeks. It's probably going to take me a month or more, just because the volume of shooting by itself is outrageously high to be able to put the time in to shoot accurately. Measuring targets, compiling data, it's all going to take me quite a bit of time.
Right.
So give me a month or two.
Okay.
And I got a sunburn from being outside on Saturday in the March sun because I was facing south the whole time, because that way the wind was coming towards me and not sideways. And I was facing the sun for 9 hours. So
you could have got a burn today. It was +9 in New Brunswick. Filthy's house is going to wash away. They got so hammered last year, and it's going to be worse.
Yeah, they say 45 years. It's the biggest flood in 45 years. I was there when the last flood was that bad.
45 years ago? Yeah, that makes sense.
You bet. Yeah. I say 45 years.
You know where I was 45 years ago?
You were not even born.
Right.
He's muted.
He's muted.
Did you mute him on purpose?
No, he muted himself.
Okay.
Well, no, I dropped. That was a mic drop. I was like, you're old, and I dropped the mic.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, off of the flood talk. I got some 308 mags. These are for LER pistols. They also work in some other rifles. Where'd you get them? This is from SFRC. They had the CPD mags.
Did you get them at 12% off?
I don't know. They were cheap. They were a decent price.
These guys have them.
The Calgary Shooting Center?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the sponsor of the show?
Yeah, and that's where I got mine.
SFRC is pretty good too, though.
I'm not a communist.
I'll be in Calgary one of these days. I'll pick up some more. I wanted one at least, and now I have one. I also got an ejector for it, and I'm happy to report
it's ejecting.
It's ejecting. So I don't know if I showed this on camera before, but
Captain Andy's was ejecting too, and he didn't have to do nothing.
How was it ejecting? Was it ejecting properly, like a limp noodle, just kind of falling out of the port, or was it flinging out of there?
Okay, IBI 260 barrel, JP Enterprises, bulk carrier group, and JP Enterprises spring.
Oh, so he has an XC
Stag 10.
Stag 10.
Yes.
Yeah. So the before ejection was like a limp noodle. Now, if I can get it
it's ejecting with
there we go. It's sticky because it's a fired case, right?
Yeah.
Moral of the story is it flings out of there now. It's got lots of pressure on there. The case stays on the extractor until it's ready to come out, and then it properly flips out of there really well.
And,
so if you
and all you had to do was buy the parts yourself.
Yes.
The BCL 102 has a recall on the ejectors.
Extractors.
Sorry. Yeah, extractors.
Yep. I got the extractor. That wasn't the issue. This is the ejector.
Right.
So if you have a BCL and your cases aren't flipping very far out, they're pooling next to you, or they're not flipping out at all you need is an ejector, and that's it. Now there are two kinds of ejectors. There's an ejector that has like a kind of like it looks like an hourglass. It's thin in the middle, and then it bells down into a flat. That's not the one you want. You want the one that's like the half. It's like a half moon kind of a thing, and that's the one that'll work well with that. True North Arms has the half moon one, so take a look at that. I've got the SFRC one that's not the right one, but I made it work anyways because I made it work.
What did you do?
I fashioned a different pin to hold it in, because if you use the roll pin, it will bind against the ejector as it's like pushing by. So I used a different style pin to hold it in there. Okay. I made it work. You made it work. Yeah. I ordered some Magpul fixed stocks for the BCL and for my WK 180. So Magpul has like and Trevor's got one. They've got a fixed stock, a fixed MOE stock that's pretty nice. And if you get the butt pad for it, the PRS butt pad, it adds a 3/4 inch length of pull to it, and it's basically perfect after that. So at least in my opinion.
Yep.
So I've got one of those because I'm not a super big fan of this one.
Where'd you get it?
I got that one from
Calgary Shooting Center.
No. Aztec.
Aztec, okay.
Yeah. I buy little bits of everything from everyone. Yeah.
And they call me a whore.
I turned my ads back on my YouTube channel. The Patreon thing had like 2 people on it, so I'm just going to say, hey, I'm done the Patreon thing. I'll send you some stickers and whatever, and I'll turn my ads back on. It was at first just a test, and now I'm seeing it's good for like a couple $100 a month, so might as well. Yep. Let's see.
So where can they support you on Patreon? Because I would like to do that.
He just turned it off.
They can't. I am turning it off. Don't support me on Patreon. I don't want your damn money.
Really?
See, Kelly, if I hadn't received criticism, this is the kind of thing I would go after you for. Because he literally just said, I turned the ads back on. He turned the
ads back on, but Patreon he only had 2. So if he would like more on Patreon,
ergo, he turned the ads back on because Patreon only had 2, meaning he closed down the pin. Never mind.
Whatever. Ads back up. Anyways.
Ads are back up.
Yeah. I think last week I talked about the kerfuffle I had with doing payments online with Practice Score.
Yes.
And we opened up our April match and using the new system, and it was beautiful. It was easy. We did pay and register at the same time. Super straightforward.
Are you sold out?
Yeah, we sold out in the night. 70 shooter spots sold out in the night. I mean, ThreeGun is gaining popularity. Incidentally, if you take a look at Alberta specifically, like we've got ThreeGun off the hook in this province. Here, let me.
Too bad you wouldn't standardize and all use the same rule set and be consistent.
Yeah, sure. I mean, someone who's a real stickler for IPSC might feel that way.
I'm also a real stickler for the USPSA multi-gun rulebook.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, this is most of us are actually operating off of the ThreeGun Nation rule book, either exactly or exactly with some mods for the ranges. This is out to May. So that's what ThreeGun looks like in Canada until May, and then that's what it looks like afterwards, and that's what it looks like afterwards, and that's what it looks like afterwards. So if you're right around here, you're just about in the perfect place for a ton of ThreeGun.
When you say afterwards, what do you mean?
I'm moving the time frame here.
Okay.
So into September, October. Again, Alberta's where it's at for ThreeGun.
All right. Get to Alberta.
Yeah, if you're around here, you've got it. You got it made for ThreeGun. With some recommendations from my co-hosts, bought the 3M Peltor Tactical Sport headset.
How'd you like them?
I do like them so far. I would like to try them at the range. One of the things. Yeah.
Did you flip out the
yes,
silicone?
The little jelly cups there that feel so soft to touch. You bet I did. Yeah.
They're like the MSAs, but cheaper.
Yeah, they are cheaper than the MSAs. They're as comfortable. But Adriel, of all the electronic hearing protection I've had like 3 different kinds now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my favorite with regards to the quality of and clarity that you hear and how they cut off. You're trading comfort for
yours cuts off. This one, it sounds like it compresses the sound down. It didn't sound like it
does
cut off.
Compress it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It does compress it.
Maybe that's
you can wear those you can wear those for 15 hours and still be fine.
And I believe you because you do that quite often.
Every
day. With rimfire.
Yeah.
Wear them in a match with open guns for 15 hours. Then get back to me.
No, I think I would comfort level.
Yeah, comfort levels is where I was going with that too. I think if I was going to shoot a 3-gun match, and I wore these, I would probably put some earplugs underneath because. So I was actually testing these, and I got my wife help me. I threw on this guy, and I threw it actually in the ear cup with the factory ear cups as well as the silicone ones with some iPro on. And the interesting thing was with the factory guys. There was a little bit of light shining through that crack between the iPro and the seal with the factory ones. Yep, a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, you don't get a perfect seal when you're wearing eye protection and electronic earmuffs. Now, with the silicone, with the gel ones, they did seal up. I didn't see any light coming out on those.
Right. And the gel cups are aftermarket. They're about $50.
Yeah,
how much were you got them at a really, really good deal? How much did you pay for them?
Yeah, I got the set was $150 and the gel cups was $45, $50.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
From place in Calgary, JSA Tactical. Geez, something like that. Not JSA. Someplace in Calgary, can't remember. But it was $150 for the headset, $50 for the gel cup, so $200 total. They sound good. They seal really well on the arms of the eyepiece. Now, one thing that I did notice is with the glasses that are a little bit thicker, if I wore them for long periods of time, I'd start to get a headache from the pressure on the temples. So now I'm looking at the different iPro that I have that's a little bit thinner.
Yep.
I've got some steel framed ones that have a very thin arm on them. And then I believe ESS has a suppressor frame that's also a really thin plastic arm on it. And I'm looking at a couple of those.
Just to go back quickly, it was SRS Tactical that you got them from.
There we go. Yeah, SRS. Thank you.
All the Calgary Shooting Center is a sponsor for us, so please patronize them.
And that's where I got mine, at the Calgary Shooting Center, because
you're not a communist.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to using these. I'm curious to see whether I'll need additional, like I'll need to double up with plugs or not.
The plugs? Yeah. I don't think you will.
I don't think so either.
I used them when we were doing the PRS shooting out at Meaford. I didn't need to. And the recommendation was to double up.
Around like a braked rifle, like maybe. I'm gonna be at the range this Saturday shooting primarily a lot of 22, a lot of other things. So I might try to just get away with these guys and see what it's like. Unlike a lot of people, like I still have decent hearing. A lot of people have like wrecked their hearing through a lot of shooting or going to loud concerts and that kind of thing. My hearing's decent, so if I start hearing any ringing or anything like that, I'm gonna double up and just go back to doubling up.
Yeah, if you're trying to answer your cell phone after a shoot and there's nobody calling you, it's a problem.
I'm surprised that you say that, because you're the hunting gear guy, and hunters are notorious for not wearing ear pro.
I don't wear ear pro when I'm hunting either.
You don't.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, but
sometimes the crack of the rifle gets you. Sometimes it doesn't. Depends on your location. And if that's all you ever do, it's not good. But it's not like a constant sustained.
No.
Well, you'll make like one shot a year when you shoot a deer, right? Yeah. I mean, the only time I have used ear pro, I went hunting with a 338 Lapua. I used ear pro when I did that.
That's wise.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go for like an epic range trip on this Saturday. So there's a skills and drills that the guys are gonna be doing for 3Guns. They're gonna be setting up a bunch of stations and trying out some of the props, showing people who haven't shot a spinner before how that works, so that when match day comes around, they don't keep hammering one side of it and expect it to do something. We're gonna do a swap meet, so I'm gonna bring some of my old stuff there and see if I can't get rid of some of the stuff that I don't use anymore. And then I got a whole. Yeah.
Can you let us know what it is beforehand so we get first dibs?
Yeah, dibs, dude.
Okay. Yeah, I can put it up on the Slamfire Radio swap meet channel. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. The MP29. I'm going to test the new sight. So I've got that new front sight on it, so it should be on now, and so I'll go try that out. GSG 1911. Got new sights on it. Got to try it out. My AR-15. I've got a new old barrel on it. I've got my old Spikes upper barrel in there now. So let's see if that'll run with that trigger and it doesn't cause any issues for me. In any case, I'll need to sight that in. I've got the Glock with those new ETS mags. I'm going to do my BCL review finally, because now it's going to cycle. It's going to cycle. Scorpio EM332 review. I got to shoot it, but I'm going to shoot it a little bit more this weekend. I'm going to do some 22 shooting, and I think that's about it for my range trip. And then today I went for lunch with a listener, Calvin, who long-term listener of the show. And
did he buy you a sandwich?
He got me pho from Pho King.
Really?
He got me some Pho King.
That's
pho.
like
you got me some Pho King pho.
Yep.
That's an upgrade from a sandwich.
Okay, I don't even know what the pho that is.
Pho is amazing.
It's Vietnamese noodles.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a soup.
Yeah, he's a long-term listener. He actually sent the gas tube for Matthew's AR build.
Really?
He's been listening that long. Yep.
Sorry.
Sorry. Wow. Yes, indeed. Sorry. But yeah, it's cool. So that's all for me. Kelly?
I went to SFRC on Saturday because it was Saturday, but they also had 12%. It was a March break sale, so they had 12% off. And I picked up some ammo. I picked up the Federal Black box pack. I needed a 223. I needed cheap stuff, just blinking stuff, because I was supposed to take a couple of shooters out. 16-year-old shooters. I was supposed to take them out to the range. Twins, guy and a girl. I was going to take them out to the range and get them to shoot pistol, shotgun, as well as AR. But I was supposed to take them out on Saturday or Sunday. Saturday was great. I should have taken them out on Saturday, but Sunday was not so good. And the weather was rainy, sleety. It was hovering around -1, -2, and it was raining as well as sleeting. So I decided not to take them. I want them to enjoy shooting, so I figured let's go for a day when it's going to be nice. But I wanted to pick up some ammo as well, so that we could plink instead of some match grade ammo for the AR. So I have deferred taking them out until not this weekend, but the next weekend after. It should be a little bit nicer. Temperatures seem to be plus. I'm looking at the long range forecast. I'll take them out, and I'm hoping that they'll continue to shoot as well. What else did I do? Oh, can you lock on my shirt?
You're locked on.
All right, I got a new shirt.
Oh, that's amazing. Are those for sale on the website?
Yeah, they're for sale on the website.
Sweet. I need a hoodie.
So I love hoodies. I wear them every day. I wear them to work. I usually take out the strings though, so they can't strangle me. But
can you read off what the shirt says for our listeners?
The shirt says, why are you laughing? It's true. It's absolutely true.
I don't go to work to get choked.
Firearm rights are human rights.
You got to take the lace out and you got to use that to tie up your gloves so you don't lose them.
Okay.
And put it through the arm of your coat.
So I went on the CCFR website. By the way, they do PayPal as well. So if you're not interested in using your credit card, you can do PayPal. I went on Monday night and it was here yesterday. Monday night at 10 p.m. and it was delivered yesterday, but I wasn't here. So it went to the post office and I picked it up today after work. I also, yesterday evening, I went and I ordered another hoodie from Coat of Arms, the whiteout hoodie. You should see these. These are beautiful. They're white. It'll stay white for me for about 15 seconds. But I ordered it yesterday and it was shipped today, so I'm expecting it on Monday. I think these are awesome. I'm going to be going out to the CCFR booth on Saturday for Toronto Sportsman Show. I'm probably not going to be wearing this because I don't know if I should be in an area where there's fishermen and everything. It says firearm rights or human rights. I don't know. I'll wear my FO clothing, but I was hoping to go maybe to pub night afterwards. I don't know. I also, by the way, thank you for sending us the stickers. It was very nice of you. I got it and it said Kelly and it said my address and that was it on the envelope.
No, the return address was Adriel.
Like, I didn't have a return address.
Nothing? He just wrote his name.
But I have a whole bunch of stickers that are going out to Rob B from Australia. They're in the mail, so watch for your envelope. It's going to be 2.5 weeks. That's it. That's what I also did. So I didn't go to the range because of the fact the weather was crappy. Kind of like the weather. Remember way back when we were doing an Appleseed down in Michigan and we were working around your schedule there, Trevor, and you bailed on us?
Didn't go, yeah. Yep.
And I
still remember that.
In rain and snow and sleet.
You guys won't let me forget.
Yeah, that one where I earned my rifleman patch. It was a winter seed. It was awesome though. But
it was awesome, but I still need to be reminded that I bailed.
Yes.
Part of the reason why it was awesome is because I bailed. So you're welcome.
Well, you didn't get pneumonia or get your car stuck in a ditch or anything. So
no, we lost a Jeep. We really did lose a Jeep.
Oh, saying Trevor didn't. You did.
Oh,
yeah.
I did.
No, you did.
I froze my ass off, and so did Stacy and everybody else. But that's the other thing. Like
that's not how stages work. God, Christina just sent me a picture of the stage that she designed.
Yeah.
She has no concept how any of this works.
Is it in a house, like a Barbie house?
Look at this.
What?
Yeah.
Dude stuck in a box. Like, how's he supposed to?
But it's fun.
It's what? No, it's not fun if it doesn't work.
Oh, you gotta do hopscotch on those first three
and that's
squares.
Exactly what she's gonna say, Adriel. I put them in boxes because on the start signal, the stage manager will say,
"Trevor,
on signal, hopscotch into shooting area." That's what I'd have to write.
Shoot them as you see them.
That's the photo we're going to use for this week's episode. But you were hoping that Christina would be more engaged in your shooting, correct?
I told her.
So she's engaged.
No, it's not how it works. Yes, you can be drunk when designing SummerSlam stages. I know, I've done it, but they have to be real stages.
She doesn't know what IPSC stages are.
And then you have to do some rework afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep.
She found the little dude. I didn't know the little dude was in there, so that's good. She didn't even put a fault line at the end. Look, the guy could literally run up and tag the targets in the face.
Does she shoot IPSC? No. Does she shoot? No.
That's no excuse.
She's having fun. Teacher.
Cool. Yeah.
That's it with me, by the way.
Oh, that would be actually a really good thing for your marriage, is to teach her at a black badge. I'm sure she'd be super receptive to you bossing her around and telling her how to, keep compliant of IPSC. That sounds like a great idea.
Just what our marriage needs. The final straw to break the camel's back.
That would destroy the camel's back.
Yeah. Well, listen, are you going to let me sleep in your gun room when I have to move to Alberta to find work? Oh, this one's real, though. Wait a second. She put a Hello Kitty in this one. That's a lot of building for 2 targets. Look at this one. But she got that one. She got that one right, though.
Yeah.
That one's actually pretty good. I might use that one. But she threw the barrel up and the barrier like trip hazards. But that one's good. I like that one.
You got to keep your wits about you to make it through one of her stages.
You're right.
Cool.
Just say thank you.
You know me still. Yeah, there you go. So I'll say something like, "Thanks, sweetie. Good effort. Can I offer you some pointers?"
That's what you say to me.
And I don't mean it when I say it to you either. And then throw the rule book at her. All right.
10.4.6 says that you can't have 2 targets in the presentation like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. The fact that she's trying.
She's trying. She's intentionally doing it this way just to bug me.
Kelly, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Upcoming events, TSS, Toronto Sportsman's Show. Stop by the CCFR booth this Saturday. Kelly will be there. So now you have to go.
Talked about that. No, I am going. Yeah.
There's going to be the Calgary Gun Show March 30th and 31st. I think there's an Edmonton Gun Show going on right now, too, from the 14th to the 17th.
Like Edmonton, it will suck.
Edmonton, yeah. You get a free stabbing on the way in. And if oil is good, it's very expensive. I don't know. I'm reaching here.
You are, yeah. But the annual Calgary Gun Show is the largest gun show in Canada. I was there for the 51st. It's it's something to see. Like, I won't stand in line for a concert, which I imagine that's what this was like. I took a selfie like up the line, down the line. It was crazy.
Yeah, there is a line to get into that thing. And you mentioned it's big. Like the bigness of it is not necessarily a pro, because I remember going last year and it took forever to walk the thing.
Oh, it's 2 days. It's 2 days. And everything good is like snapped up in the first, like there's tables that I'm sure there's some of that for sure, Kelly, but it's so big that there's still some deals that make it. But the thing is, the line to get to some of the dealers' tables just to like buy Magpul stuff is like 3 and 4 people thick.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. Speaking of lineups, TACCOM, they've opened up the registration for it. Just saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'll be busy too.
It will be.
All right. Let me try to get through our events here before our guest comes on. Barney, tactical teacher, he's running a precision rifle clinic and match April 27th and 28th. And he's got an M14 clinic as well at Gunworks in Oshawa, March 30th. Check out CGN for information on both of those.
Cool.
Registration is now open for the Rob Furlong Canadian Sharpshooter Classic. That one's $279. It's July 13th and 14th in Hanna, Alberta. There's going to be a sanctioned 2-day PRS match at the Rob Furlong Marksmanship Academy range. Oh boy, I'm having trouble. Expect to gauge targets 500 to 1,400 yards, 18 to 20 stages with a round count of 200 plus. That is a lot for a PRS match.
It is.
Friday will be a sight-in day with a target out to 800 yards minimum. Lunch will be provided during the match. For more information, check out rfma.ca. In terms of the news, M&P has a... Do you guys want to stop now and go to our guest, or do we want to keep going here? You're muted.
I'm muted. I'm trying to explain stuff and point and hand gesture. We've got about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get through news and new gun stuff then.
Yep.
Before we get too far, Matthew, what have you been up to in guns?
Oh, here.
Hi. I bought a squirt gun. That was last week.
You talked about the squirt gun already.
Yeah, I know. I remember talking
pork
about
chops?
it. That's it. I had pork chops tonight, and that pig probably died by. It wasn't shot by a gun, so that doesn't count. Let's see. Carry the one. Nothing.
How is the ultralight? We all need to know.
I hope it flies on Monday. Our wings are back on, and everything's ready to go, minus some little fiddly diddly bits. So we're getting there.
You should probably hope that it lands too.
Well, you know, it's going to land one way or another.
Yeah, they all land.
They all land.
Cool. All right, back to the news then. Kelly, this one you probably have the most insight into. Smith & Wesson's
MMP
1522
recall. So this is for the new Sporter model. They're saying that you need to go and check it out. They are doing a recall. They're recommending that you do not use your rifle until you call them. And basically, as I said, it says stop using them until they've been inspected, and have your bolt replaced if necessary as well. So Maple Seed, following Appleseed's what they do, we don't allow MP 1522s on the line because of this. We were seeing out of battery detonations. Yeah, with the old version, the old model. With the new one, what they're seeing is that they're switching to basically auto.
So yeah, that was my. So I was going to ask you, Kelly. This is not the first recall, right? But I see here it specifically says for this recall, it's all models of MMP 15 rifles and pistols manufactured before February 1st, 2019.
Right.
So basically, whenever you bought it to.
Right. It is the first recall that they've had. They never
They never recalled them.
They never recalled the first set, and that's why we wouldn't let them on the line, because they weren't admitting any fault. This time, they are admitting faults, so you just actually give them a call, and they'll replace it for you.
Dang.
Yeah, so we were seeing out-of-battery detonations. People were getting injured, so we just banned them off the line. We do not want anybody hurt, obviously, and they don't want anybody hurt as well, especially if you are switching to full auto. It's a 22.
I mean, it's kind of hard to hit the target at full auto. It's
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
But I posted it here, and I wanted to talk about it. I posted it on several different forums as well. Go and call, because I know a lot of people have bought them, but just go and call Smith & Wesson to check it out to see if your model is on that. Don't use it until then.
Cool. Trevor, would you like to share with the class?
Yes. Christina has sent me the stage descriptions for the stages she has designed. She says, here's the second stage for your approval. It's called roll out the barrel. The shooter starts in the standing position, hands relaxed at sides. They have to go down the slide while shooting at the target underneath the net. She means the wall, which you're not allowed to do, but this is fine. This is all good. Then they have to eat the cupcake without milk. Use the barrel by jumping on it and rolling it over with your feet to shoot at the targets. That's why that's there. You got to slide down the slide.
Let's do it.
And then she put a cupcake on the table. And here,
you have see the fact that you have to eat the cupcake without milk.
That's challenging. Yeah. Here's the third stage.
What's up with that?
It's hard to do.
In the third stage, she incorporated a Hello Kitty on a chair, and then there's a Hello Kitty actual Pez dispenser in the background of the stage. Third stage for your approval is called Hello Kitty Godzilla. Starting position is sitting away from the targets, being suspectful of any tomfoolery behind them. All right. Starting position is sitting away from the targets, being unsuspectful of any tomfoolery behind them. This one has a high bullet count. If you do choose this one, I want to keep the life-size version of Hello Kitty. This one is just the area love you. This is just the area love you, so you can see the targets. There are lots of targets to shoot. Oh my God. She actually designed another one. Dang. The final stage for your approval is called Ninja Shootout. This one is a take your pet to the range, but make sure they're wearing proper hearing protection day. If you do not have a pet, a stuffed one will be used in its place as a sidekick. This one is tricky. She's filled it with poppers and swingers and no shoots, and you have to shoot it all from one huge shooting area. You get to shoot it all through one port with about two standing reloads. And you know what? Some of these stages are still. No, I'm stopping. I caught myself, guys, because I almost said these stages are still better than some of the matches that. Oh,
see, you can't. We know what you're gonna say though. So that's good enough.
All that matters.
Good job, Christina.
I think I'm gonna steal the dog thing and do a John Wick themed 3-gun stage.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be one of them.
I'll get the dog's dead. And then you go on a shooting rampage, right? So I'm gonna get a stuffed dog, and I'm gonna, like, I don't know, spray paint it red or something, and make you wear a suit.
Yeah, definitely a suit. Definitely.
I should go to Value Village and see if I can get like a real cheap blazer, and then you have to wear the blazer as you shoot.
I know you can. That's where mine came from.
All right, moving on to the new other news items. An off-duty RCMP officer had their pistol stolen in Halifax. That was, which day was this? March 11th. And then in Calgary,
Monday.
What was that, today? Yesterday? A
days
Calgary
ago,
officer had their car stolen along with badge. And stolen.
Yeah. Everything got stolen.
Everything. The whole thing.
First it was... So in Halifax, a lot of people are upset. The officer was off duty, but their firearm was stored in accordance with Canadian law. Now, were they on their way to or from a range? Well, you know what? Sorry. You can get butthurt if you want. It doesn't apply to them. What does apply, though, is safe storage. And the gun was locked up in a locked case. It could have happened to any of us. It just so happened to happen to a cop. So,
but it is Halifax.
What's that going to do with it?
Well, Halifax.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything to
Halifax.
most of the country. Most of the country knows nothing about Halifax other than that it's in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Halifax just has like one bad street. We're not talking about Edmonton or Winnipeg. those places are bad. So anyway,
okay. Halifax listeners, write in.
So here, Kelly, to prove my point, where you're like, well, Halifax. In Halifax, they break in, they steal the lawfully secured firearm. In Calgary, they take the whole car and everything in it.
That's true.
In Calgary, they stole a ghost car basically, with all the equipment.
Well, serves them right.
Was it a ghost car, or was it just an off-duty police officer's car with all the stuff in it?
Oh well, you better fact check me on that. But I thought that I read that it was a actual police vehicle.
It could be. I mean, that would be a poor choice for a thief. Like at one point, you'd be like, what do these switches do? Oh,
yeah. All of a sudden, people start pulling over. Oops, crap.
And the GPS tracker's now on.
Yeah. Let's see here. Why don't we go on to this last part? This is more U.S. news. I don't know if it's super important, but they're gonna allow people to sue gun makers for mass shootings in the U.S. Yeah.
That happened under Trump.
Something I expect
Hold on a second.
What?
Yeah, that happened under Trump.
There's been more anti-gun legislation with Trump in charge than with Obama.
Yep.
Obama was undoubtedly better for gun sales too.
It was
same as Trudeau. We got more non-restricted black guns into Canada under Trudeau than we did under the Conservatives.
I think that was timing. I think that was just timing with everyone figuring out how to build these things, and
they still got in.
But they got through.
FRTs were submitted beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point, Kelly. But
anywho,
thank you. Say that again.
Nope. It's been recorded for posterity.
You'll have just timestamp this, Kelly, so we can record it and play it back a couple of times next time. New gun stuff. Dante's now carrying Swarovski scopes and sights and all those kind of things. They've got a whole mitt full of those. Durham has the H&K MR223 uppers, the 11-inch ones if you're looking for them. That's the H&K piston-driven AR upper if you're looking for the most expensive AR upper. Maybe not an expensive AR upper, but probably reliable and H&K quality and H&K hate for the end consumer. Frontier is clearing out some odds and ends. If you're looking for some weird Norinco stuff, they've got some stuff there that's really cheap. Like if you got one of their M93 Woodsmans, they've got the 22 mags there for like $20.
I used to have one of those.
Yeah, there was a couple things that were in there where I was like, oh man, if I only had that gun, this would be like the cheapest deal.
And then you start questioning yourself, why would I have that gun?
Yeah, wait a minute. I don't want a Woodsman. But if you're looking for a Cooey 22 bolt, they have one for $25.
Oh yeah, see that's a good deal because I used to have
a bolt for
a Cooey 22 bolt action.
Which model?
I don't know.
Because there's one model that's like unobtainium and everybody needs one. 39, Matthew. What's the single shot Cooey?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
You've been away from the game too long.
Way too long.
Anyways,
much base back.
They've got a bunch of weird stuff for quite cheap. And then Frontier's also getting some K31s in next week.
Oh, that's good.
If you're looking for them. They are not at the K31 pricing that we used to have, but we're never getting those.
Even those
again
have gone up, right? So
not this much. I think K31s are up to like $600 to $800 now per.
Ouch.
Yeah. Whereas they were selling for $295 from wholesale 5 years ago.
And that ammo that was on the market for the longest while was basically match grade ammo. That's drying up.
You can still find it, but yeah, it used to be quite a bit cheaper. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess that's about it for a new gun stuff. How are we doing on our guest?
8:30.
8:30. Okay.
So if you don't mind doing some cutting and splicing, we can do our one email now and splice it in later.
Sure. Yeah.
Or we're gonna do the email now and do the interview after the email.
What, you want to change the order of the show notes?
I know, right? Terrible.
Waterburn baby.
You were right, Trevor. It is a 39. The 75 is the whale tail version, and then the 60 is the tube fed Cooey.
Cool. Well, I tell you what, if that's a bolt for 39, it's already gone. Yeah,
it is a bolt for 39. Definitely. I used to have 39, and that's totally the bolt from it.
Yeah. Oh, I've just been corrected. It's pronounced posterity, not prosterity.
Oh no, you had it right the first time.
I thought so. Thank you, Matthew. Screw you, Captain Andy.
Yeah, in the prostatery. Wait, what?
Screw you for prostatery.
Right.
Well, this is the time of the show when we would do YouTube listener feedback. Is there anything on the YouTubes?
There is a couple of things. So Greg May says that the QPP lost a 40mm grenade launcher. So
there's that.
Oh, you wouldn't want criminals to have one of those.
I just wanted to say to Brad, I'm sorry about Halifax. Halifax is a beautiful city. It is truly beautiful. It's Atlantic Canada, but I know there's some areas in there you do not want to go, especially after dark.
One street, Hodgson Street.
Yeah, Hodgson's is horrible. We were also reminiscing about Trevor, your rage quitting at some point.
Where's this?
This is my gun garage, so that would be Andy, isn't it, Andy?
Andy threw me under the bus for rage quitting?
Yeah, sure.
Son of a gun.
Okay. You mean you rage quit more than once?
Nope.
Search your heart. You know it to be true. There's been more than once.
Don't use those quotes against me.
Also, Greg May said that he's never needed plugs with his MSAs while shooting large bore with the brakes. No problem at the Meaford Long Range Steel Challenge PRS match.
Greg also says what a lot, though.
What? Oh, he's right. I did rage quit having a beer with my buddies, but there's way more to that story than...
Do you want to share?
No, of course not.
Pedro has been very active on the page as well. We just wanted to say thank you for all the awesome 3D items that you have sent to Trevor. I think Trevor's going to have some seriously fun things going on with those.
I'm gonna let Christina play in the Friday night matches, and it doesn't matter how ridiculous they are, we're doing it.
At least
I'll be like,
stage.
you're not gonna hurt my wife's feelings.
Stage.
Yeah. Now it will go on until the guys finally come out and say, you know what, Trev, her stages are better than yours, and I'm gonna be like, you're DQ'd out of here, jerk.
Okay.
We're really loving the Hello Kitty.
We are. You gotta admit that's kind of fun. I also on YouTube posted the symptoms of trichinosis. Just letting you know. That's everything on YouTube.
Alrighty, Matthew, check this out.
Okay.
Along with the 3D stage design materials, apparently some of our stages are sponsored by Slamfire.
Love it.
Yep. Now we get a Matador Arms sign and a Calgary Shooting Center sign.
Then it'll be pretty authentic.
Yep. A DC Armory sign will be all good.
Sweet. Any other YouTube feedback?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Our listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, and Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. And he's also on Facebook and Instagram. Rod sent us an email that says, from Rod, massive 22 ammunition studies have been done before. Seen them in specialty newsstand magazines too. There's a book published on one called Rifleman's Guide to Rimfire Ammunition, paperback. That was written around 2006. He has a copy. He says there was 32,000 rounds fired for this study, 137 different varieties.
Wow.
But that was in 2006, and that's when Bob's drunk cousin Earl was working at Federal, and now that guy's gone, and some other guy's working there, and it's all better. And some other company has hired Earl, and now they're much worse, right?
Sure, definitely.
And it's in a book.
Who reads books anyway? Books are
same
dumb.
people that use cash. Books are dirty. They're for homeless people.
Yeah,
if I can't read on
YouTube, that's important.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's got to be
everything I need to learn. I learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
Why is Filthy apologizing to you, Kelly?
I have no idea.
Hi, Kelly, and I'm sorry.
I have no idea, but
I'm sure you deserved it.
I don't know. I have no idea why he's apologizing to me. Oh, I know.
That was quick.
The point is, a man is apologizing to you. Just take it, put it in the win category.
No worries. Get it to me when you can. I'll be over here drinking. Okay.
I don't even think I can buy this book in Canada. There's one of the you can buy them on Amazon.com, but not on .ca. It's like $37, $27.
Do your own.
To make my own.
And then the reason that you're going to be doing your own one is on YouTube. The other reason is because you're looking through ammo that you're testing ammo that you're going to be using in your own rifles. Do your own.
I already know what I'm going to be using though. I'm going to be using the one that gives me a 0.35 inch group at 50 yards on command.
Do that one.
Yeah.
Is that Ely?
That is SK Standard Plus.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah, my rifle just loves that stuff. So
the expensive.
That's
SK's
not really as okay. One of the things I found out from doing this review is bulk ammo is not nearly as cheap as you think it is. Like when you think of, oh yeah, bucket of bullets, yeah, that's cheap ammo. It's 6 to 8 cents per round. That's what you're paying for that stuff. That SK Standard Plus, which is a good jillion times better, is 12 cents a round. Now it's not twice the cost. It's almost twice the cost, but it's so much better ammo for not that much more. If you're just gonna like hammer rounds out and you don't expect to hit anything, like who cares? But if you want to punch like at least a decent group, that stuff, or CCI Standard Velocity, if you buy that stuff in bulk, you'll be paying 8 cents a round for it. Compared to like the cheapest stuff you will get on sale is like 6 cents a round. So that CCI Standard Velocity is like a million times better choice if you want to actually shoot, like hit what you're shooting at.
Right. So when you're shooting, you're doing it at 50, right? Or 100? Which
50. I opted for 50 because I was worried that that wind would affect it too much, and that between some of the different batches, I might actually miss some rounds. And I can't miss any rounds doing this test where I have to buy twice as much ammo.
So what are you finding? Are you finding standard, or are you finding high velocity, or working better for you at 50?
Standard velocity, by far. Yeah. By far and away, the standard velocity.
So once you take it to 100, you're going to find that the standard is the high velocity. You're just going to forget. I did a little bit testing with the Ruger Precision Rimfire. It was going out to 100, and it was anything that was standard velocity.
Was decent.
Yeah, the stuff that was high velocity, I wouldn't use if you're going out past 100.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like the high velocity stuff is meant for short range hunting, like a lot of damage on small game. Yeah, it's got hollow points. A lot of them do. Whereas like a standard velocity 40 grain soft or solid point seems to be like like if you look at most of Ely's ammo, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, our guests should be joining us momentarily, but in the meantime, have you had a chance to read the transcript between the two individuals that we're going to be just And Adriel, you guys all read that?
Yeah, I got a chance to read it. Can I just one more thing? I
just
in here.
Go ahead. Yep.
Federal standard velocity shouldn't be high velocity, right?
No.
Federal's standard velocity stuff was like, oh, this is cheap standard velocity. I'll try this stuff. It's not really standard velocity. No. It's high velocity. It's
standard velocity is under 1,100 feet per second.
Yep. And
what is
typical
federal?
22 is 1,200 to 1,300 feet per second for your high velocity stuff.
So give me 2 shakes.
And then you get into the velocitors and the stingers.
Yeah. Then you start getting up there a little bit faster.
Stupid high. Yeah.
1,600, 1,700 feet per second.
Yeah, like if you just buy bulk pack 555 or 338, that's not standard either.
No, that's 1280.
That's all high.
That's all 555.
Yeah, we think of it as standard, but in reality, it's faster than anything.
Velocity stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And like Adriel said, that stuff's fantastic for up close varmint shooting and pest shooting and hunting and stuff, because inside of 50 yards, it doesn't matter. It stays above that transonic shockwave zone, and so it don't suffer. But as soon as you start passing that and it starts going through that buffeting, then you start to see the accuracy drop off.
And I mean, like, consider the difference, right? 1 inch at 1 inch at 50 is good enough for most small game.
Oh, absolutely.
Hunting.
Yeah.
And
but that's not going to win you competitions.
Correct. And well, I mean, it depends what kind of competition, because I mean,
I suppose.
Anyways, the federal standard velocity is 1166, and it should be like 1080.
Yeah.
So that was the one where it's like, what is going on with this stuff? This is not standard velocity. Yeah. And the SMB was the same. SMB standard was 1116.
It's a little higher or two.
Yeah, a little bit too high. Whereas most of the other stuff was right around where it should have been, 1080. Well,
the speed of sound is really close to 1,200 feet per second. So anytime you approach that with your 22 ammo, you're going to start seeing your accuracy drop off. You got to stay below the speed. You got to stay subsonic if you want to get that consistent accuracy over distance, because you're not transitioning the transonic shockwave.
Yeah.
So shooting at 25 meters for Maple Seed, I will use the high velocity, but anything past that, I'll be using subsonic.
And if you are at a range, if you are at a range where you are staying inside of the transition area there, you do want to go as fast as you can, so the wind affects it less. So the last time it's in the air, the last time the wind can affect it. So if you are shooting up close, shoot the fastest stuff you can. If you're shooting at distance, shoot. What's that, Trev?
Well, I finished, and I'll tell you why I disagree. From my personal experience, your mileage may vary.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I've tested a couple of different types of ammo at the 25 meter range, which, like what you just said, if you're up close, use the fastest you can to avoid wind drift.
Right.
Now, in fairness, my testing was done under pretty ideal conditions as far as wind was concerned. And both my rifles.
So you're perfect. So this doesn't apply. Very good. So let's continue on. I'm kidding. Go on.
Well, both my rifles, just they grouped much better with standard velocity over.
Oh, and they always will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
you're going to get better accuracy with standard velocity. But if you are shooting, like for instance, my Marlins will shoot that high velocity stuff very well.
Yeah.
And so if I have standard velocity that shoots very well, and I have high velocity that shoots very well, if I'm staying up close, I'll use the high velocity stuff for less time in the air.
Now, Kelly, what you said, I would do the opposite. You're saying in close, you'll use.
I use high velocity in close.
But when you stretch out, you'll go to standard?
Yep.
Now, see, I would take the logic that Matthew just applied to going far.
Yeah, but the problem with
distance, the more likely it's going to drift in the wind. So I want to.
You're absolutely right. But the problem is, Trevor. The problem is, though, the farther you go, the closer you become to transitioning the transonic shockwaves. That's the issue. So you want to stay below that the whole time.
We talked to the rimfire precision guys, and they didn't seem to care about that transition with 22.
They said. Well, I mean, and to be fair, they're not shooting precision. We're talking like shooting paper for inch groups.
No,
they're just shooting steel plates.
So
they just have to hit them or they miss them. They don't really care about grouping.
I think the same thing carries for maple seed. Like, no matter, you would have to find an ammo that your rifle hates for it to make a difference at 25 meters with maple seed, because maple seed is mostly you shooting, not the rifle's accuracy.
I've found ammo that my rifles absolutely hate, and at 25 yards look like a shotgun spread more than terrible.
So I use a Gila, right, at 25 yards, and it's fantastic. It's a high velocity, right? But if I'm shooting, and it feeds beautifully through my rifle. But if I'm shooting out to 100, I'll use standard. I'll get a couple of stoppages because it hates the lead. But other than that, it has a better grouping at 100 as opposed to 25, right? So I use the high velocity at 25. I use the standard velocity out at 100. That's it.
Yep.
I have a better grouping at 100 with standard.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
And if you were going to do that rimfire Pure S stuff, you would use which?
The standard velocity.
Really? Because the precision isn't there, I personally would tend to go to the high velocity, so I'd be affected less by wind drift.
Yep.
And Matthew, where's the sweet spot for this transition? Like, would it apply in the PRS game?
Oh yeah, they're shooting out past 300 yards, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. The transition happens typically just past 50 yards for your high velocity.
Oh wow.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so Kelly, with that in mind.
Yeah. You see, I went out and I tested a whole bunch of different ammo, some cheap stuff, some pretty expensive stuff. I tested Ely, Gila, both standard velocity and high velocity. I did it at 25, 50, and 100. And the difference between the 25 and the 100 was significant. It was
you guys want to see a terrible one?
Sure.
Federal Game Shock. It's a 31 grain bullet. It looks like I drew some circles in here, but I'm
to show what the groups were.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Can you call that
so bad? It's so bad that it's very hard to tell if it's.
You need to go to a maple seed, buddy.
Clearly, and I'll take this. I'll take this ammo.
Yeah,
like,
winning any competitions with that.
With this?
So what this means is you really need to test your ammo with that rifle, because if you're looking for accuracy, some ammo works well in some rifles and some not so much. And also,
I would say to me, 31 grains is awfully light for 1 in 16 twist. You would almost need a specialty 22 barrel to spin that right. You'd need like a 1 in 18 or 1 in 20 to get that to go.
Because it's 40 grains usually is what we're seeing at 22, right?
Yeah, like my standard stuff is 40. My high velocity is 36.
Right.
31 is, I mean, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of difference, but it is.
In a 22 barrel, it would be.
Hey, Matthew, we have a question from YouTube. The question is, what is the top speed for considering standard velocity? So standard velocity, what's the top speed? Do you know?
Well, it would be anything just less than the speed of sound, I believe.
Which is 1200, right?
Yeah, I think what is it? 1150 would be like the top end of what you would consider standard, but I think most people call 1050.
Right.
1050, 1080 is like standard.
Yeah.
So you were talking about Federal being
1160. Like that's bumping right up to the sound barrier there. Which as soon as the bullet comes out of the barrel, it's already being buffeted.
Right.
If you ever get a chance to watch, and this is on YouTube, I think it's called Schlier or Schlin or some sort of type photography where you can actually look at the shock waves of the bullets as they're fired out of guns. Super interesting. And the one that I was watching, it's on Smarter Every Day. If anybody just goes on YouTube and searches Smarter Every Day and goes for the just type in gun shockwaves, and I'm sure it'll come up. He shoots standard velocity, like subsonic and supersonic, out of these rifles, and you can see the shockwaves forming around the muzzle and the bullets as they leave the muzzle, and you can clearly see the subsonic shockwave is ahead of the bullet as it fires, and then you can clearly see when he shoots a supersonic how it punches right through that shockwave. Imagine the bullet just sitting on that shockwave the whole time. That's what transonic shockwaves are, and that's what causes the inaccuracy on these 22s.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, it was really interesting shooting some of the worst stuff, because you would have your crosshairs on target, and you'd pull the trigger, watching through the sights, and see a hole appear. Like, you're like, I didn't do that. This was even worse. The Federal Champion Blue Box, which I've actually had good results with in the past. My rifle was okay with it. We had a Ruger precision rifle, precision rimfire, and it was just a mess. Yep. Just an absolute mess.
A hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a nice rifle, right?
Yeah, yeah, and like my trigger's nicer though.
Wow,
it is the heavy trigger.
My trigger's a pound, and there's no creep on it, so it's just there's nothing to it. But this Federal Blue Box stuff was just awful out of that Ruger Precision. Like, Will was shooting it, and he's like, "I can't. This stuff is not grouping." I'm like, "Give me that thing. Let me show you how to do this." And mine was worse. I was like, it's like, what the heck? A 3-inch group at 50 yards. What is going on with this stuff?
Yeah. No. That's enough.
He's got thousands of rounds of that too, and it doesn't work in his gun.
That Hopefully sucks. It works. Well, put it through a pistol.
Ones. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Put it through a pistol at 10 yards, and you won't. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adriel, have you had a chance to go out and check out that antique shop yet? Because he posted more pictures on his Instagram, and there's always tantalizing gun stuff in the background. It's called Curiosity Inc. He's got a cool YouTube channel. And he just posted another picture tonight with what appeared to be mint boxes of Dominion 38 Special.
Sweet.
No.
Trevor,
yes?
I like your lexicon. It was good. Tantalizing.
I like your lexicon too, Kel.
Yes. Matthew,
sorry to interrupt
you.
It's Schlieren photography is what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Good luck spelling that.
Schlieren?
It's
slow-mo.
Slow-mo.
It's not slow-mo. It's different than slow-mo.
Slow-mo bullet waves. YouTube.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
I'm going to send you a screenshot, Adriel. And if you look at the bottom of the case, you can see barrels.
Okay, where's our guest?
Any minute now. He said 8:30.
Cool.
It's 7:29.
If these boxes are full, Adriel, I definitely want you to buy me one. They're mint.
Yeah.
I got a lot of antique. Well, I don't have a lot, but I do have a number of antique ammo boxes now with, ammo in them. Some Dominion, some other kinds.
Federal makes a 22 GMM, their gold medal match. Here's what's confusing about that. They make a gold medal match target. They make a gold medal match, and they make a gold medal match ultra match.
They all are crap.
That's necessary.
Their gold medal match stuff was fantastic. Their other stuff wasn't. I didn't get good results from it. As SD on it was fantastic though. Like where are we here? 10, 8, like standard dispersion on the feet per second out of the barrel was like 10 or 8. Most of the cheap stuff was around 20, 30 for the bad stuff. The best stuff was right around 7, 8 kind of a thing. Aguila Super Maximum 40. I could not get the Aguila Super Maximum. That's again a lightweight bullet, 30 grain bullets out of it. Average right around 1590 feet per second. So spunky.
Super, yeah.
And like just trash accuracy out of it too.
Yeah.
The best for the hypervelocity was still the stingers and the velocitors. Yeah.
Our guest is logging in now.
Cool.
Excellent.
I'll just keep talking about 22s.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're interviewing him or he's interviewing us, or we're going to interview each other.
Everybody's just going to ask questions. No answers.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
No answers.
Browning BPR. Browning makes it. They don't make a 22. They rebrand someone else's 22. That stuff is trash. I don't know. The bullets look like the Winchester 5.55 bullets. How they're just horrible looking. They look so bad. That's what they're using. I'm pretty sure that's what they're using because there's no other bullet I've found that looks as bad as those. They still run good on some of them, though.
Matthew?
I think he's showing us a bullet.
Terrible note. I don't know why anybody would ever think that's a good bullet profile for a 22.
That truncated nose.
The truncated nose, yeah. Terrible. Round nose is the way to go, but this is what a lot of the high velocity guys use.
Is that that's not 5.55, is it?
No, this is Remington Yellow
That's
Jacket.
your Yellow Jacket. Yeah.
And it actually runs pretty decent for fast stuff. I mean, it shoots almost 1,500 feet per second. It's fast, but it actually does pretty good.
What did I get out of that? I didn't get 1,500 out of that one. I got
it's pretty devastating on small roads.
Yeah. I mean, I think what they're selling a lot of this stuff as is like high velocity, close up, like just obliterate the gopher.
Yeah. Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. Pests need to be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, Trevor, and Kelly left. So it's just you and me now, bud.
Like if I was to shoot gophers and I was to shoot them with 22s, would I use the hypervelocity stuff, or would I use like CCI standard velocity, or maybe even my SK standard?
I'd use the fastest stuff that I could group at 100 yards. I'd go to the range, and the fastest stuff I get to group inside of an inch at 100 yards is what I'd use.
Yeah.
And I would want something with a pretty decent hollow point on it. I know they're not going fast enough to really spread, but even a little bit is enough to transfer that energy a little bit more accurate.
Yeah, just do a little bit more damage, right?
Yeah. Well, you want to kind of anchor them if you can. You don't want them crawling back down the hole and blocking it and not letting the rest of them out. You want to shoot them all, right?
Yeah. Got to let the other ones out. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you and Trevor have it right, though. The 17 HMR is the way to go.
Oh, yeah, for pure accuracy, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen, like, CCI's got this segmented hollow point? Have you seen any of those?
Yes.
So it's got like there's like it's a bullet, but it's actually 3 chunks, or it's been scored in a way that when it hits, it breaks into 3 chunks.
Breaks into 3. I haven't tried any of that stuff for accuracy, or actually I don't even know if I've ever tried any of that stuff, period. But sounds interesting.
I wonder what kind of like if it would be better for damage than a hollow point, or more reliable for small game damage than a hollow point.
Sounds like some testing is in order. That could be another hunting gear guy exclusive test.
I need to get like a slow-mo camera and put it right next to a gopher hole, and then get some of that CCI segmented stuff and whack a couple gophers.
Yep. Or you could shoot it into ballistic gel. I mean, that'd be an option. But gophers are definitely the original analog.
If I could get an X-ray machine that was also high speed.
A high-speed X-ray machine. Why don't we have one of these?
Yeah, get the gopher in there. The segmented hollow point comes through.
Or we could breed transparent gophers.
Genetically modify transparent gophers.
Yes, with a high-speed camera. Then we don't need the X-ray machine anymore, and we can see which bullet's most effective.
This probably makes a lot of sense for our guest right now, who we've called because of their expertise on transparent genetically modified gophers.
That's why he's joining us.
Yes.
If anyone would know, the Nighttime Podcast would know.
Jordan!
What a conversation to walk in on.
You never know what you're going to hear when you log on to Slamfire.
That's right.
Some firearms talk.
Sometimes.
There's some of that. Not very much, but there is some.
Sometimes we talk about genetically modified transport. What I don't even know.
Transparent gophers. Yeah.
See-through.
Okay, you know what? So you guys from New Brunswick, we all know that there is the. Is it still the farm that's there in Fredericton?
Yes, everybody knows about the legendary cow with the glass stomach.
Yeah, you can see into it. So
Yeah,
just
the
experimental
experimental farm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that cow's dead because it's been talked about for 40 years.
I'm sure that they use
I've never heard of this cow. What is this cow with a transparent stomach?
So
seriously,
in Fredericton, there's you can Google this. You can look it up on YouTube. In Fredericton, there is an experimental farm.
YouTube. Perfect.
So they had 2 cows, Matthew. One with a transparent stomach, so you could actually watch inside you couldn't see from the outside into the cow's stomach because glass and but the idea was to watch the digestion. Then they had another cow with a hole in it, and you could actually reach inside its gut and pull out a sample of what was being digested to check for protein content and stuff.
Right.
All those videos are online.
You could put your food through the cow, get the cow to pre-chew it, and then just take the rest.
Wow. I'm sorry,
it's a
Jordan.
biological blender, basically.
Yeah.
Jordan, I'm sorry. Shall we start the interview, guys?
Hi, Jordan. How are you?
Hey. Great. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I have 2 sick kids in the house here.
Oh no.
No, that sucks.
It's all right. We have 2 sick hosts. So
yeah, we had important things to discuss, so it's no worries. The time flew.
A lot of
the time of year. I find as the seasons change, everybody gets sick. So it's what we deal with in Canada, I guess.
Yes, it is.
That's what makes us tough. So, all right, are we ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Adriel, are you doing it or am I?
No, you.
All right, so here we go. Welcome back to the show, Jordan Bonaparte from the Nighttime Podcast. Welcome back, Jordan.
Happy to be here. Great to be back.
It seems like you were just here yesterday.
Or last month or 2?
Pretty much, but in Slamfire timelines, that was yesterday. And well, because we told one guy we got to have you back on soon, and 5 years went by before we actually had him back on. So you're like back on in a minute. You were just here a minute ago. So
and you'll be on my show, I think, probably next week.
Oh, I keep forgetting to mention that I was back on your show, but it's pertinent, obviously, because it has to do with what we're going to discuss tonight. But just in case there are listeners who missed your first episode, I would like you to tell us about your podcast again, what your focus is, and how the listeners can find it before we get into your most recent series, which is the reason for you joining us tonight.
Sounds great. So I'm Jordan Bonaparte from Nova Scotia. I host the Nighttime Podcast, which basically is like an audio documentary style show that explores unique or unusual Canadian events, be it crime, mysteries, paranormal stories, and basically just the odd, weird things that happen.
Yeah, and some of the listeners know because I've even had my sword on the show a time or two, I'm sure. They know about my obsession with Oak Island, which is what brought you and I together. You posted a link to your episode with Dave Blankenship on one of the many Facebook pages dedicated to Oak Island. And I believe that was like episode 3 or something. It was really early on, wasn't it?
That was early on, and I'm on like 80 something now. So
yeah, and I've been
you're what they call an OG.
Yeah, that's right. I've been since that's right. And you were also an OG, Kelly. So and of course your show has garnered interest in other shows for me and the whole genre. So as a matter of fact, now I listen to more true crime podcasts than any other kind. So
interesting.
But the reason for you joining us tonight is you have questions for us. We have questions for you. We would like to discuss your most recent series covering the story of Lindsay Suvanarath. I think I pronounced that correctly, didn't I?
Yeah, you got Suvanarath, but
Suvanarath. So this is a very scary lady. Why don't you tell us who she is and what her connection is to Canada that resulted in you covering this story? Give us a little bit of background here.
Yeah, so any kind of news watchers in Canada will probably know her story when I explain it, but they may not know her name as Lindsay Suvanarath. She's basically she's a now 27-year-old woman from the Chicago area of Illinois, who in 2015 was arrested at the Halifax airport after an anonymous tip came to the authorities, letting them know that a girl from the United States was on their way to Halifax to meet up with a guy and commit a mass shooting at the Halifax Shopping Center food court on Valentine's Day. It became very big news. The press have kind of dubbed this the Valentine's Day massacre, although nobody actually was shot by her that day. But in essence, the story is about Lindsay Suvarnarath from the States had met a guy from Halifax, a 19-year-old guy named James Gamble. They met through Tumblr. They're both members of what's called the Columbiner community, which is a subculture of people who are, I guess you could say, obsessed with the Columbine shooting in the United States. And not only obsessed with the shooting, but almost look at the shooters, Eric and Dylan, almost as idols, this community. So Lindsay spent a lot of time on her computer making memes, making artwork about the Columbine attack, met this guy named James from Halifax. The two of them very quickly started a relationship. Within, I think, 3 days of meeting, they began planning their shooting, which they planned to happen at the Halifax Shopping Center food court. After a couple months of planning, she finally got on an airplane on her way to Halifax, was arrested. She was, people probably know about the trial because it was pretty big news, especially if you're in Eastern Canada. She eventually pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder and just recently was given a life sentence. That was, again, nobody had actually died other than her boyfriend, the guy she was coming to Halifax to meet. Police arrested her at the airport while they surrounded his house, but he didn't come out of his house. He ended up taking his own life with one of the weapons he was planning to bring to the mall with her.
Yeah.
And it's a very dark story, and that's the quickest version of a story. That doesn't even get into the fact that she's a outspoken neo-Nazi, Columbiner, all sorts of strange things around Lindsay.
And also very intelligent, very well read, excellent writer.
Yeah.
Which
it's
all combines.
Hard to compliment her, but yeah.
Yeah, and those aren't compliments. Those are just facts. These aren't things I like about her. They're just facts. And that makes it more difficult to understand how she would go down this road. Obviously, there's something not wired correctly in this woman. She's been kind of pegged in the media as being the ringleader in all of this, but you've shared with us some of the dialogue between Lindsay and James. And to my co-hosts here who may not have listened to Jordan's series on this case, if you thought the dialogue in between these two in Facebook conversations is, dark and scary, it's nothing compared to the things that she actually said to Jordan during the interview. And one of the probably one of the most interesting things is that she's never spoken out to any media outlets, to any kind.
Jordan has spoken to the police.
Yeah, nobody. She's never spoken to anybody. And so, Jordan, how did you manage to land this interview?
Yeah, well, and I don't even call it an interview. I consider it more of a conversation because there's a bit of a difference. But the way it came about is the mall that they were planning to shoot up or whatever, that was the mall next to my house, basically. And at the time that this was happening in 2015, my now 6-year-old son, he was like 2, in February in Nova Scotia with a 2-year-old. There's not a lot to do. So I spent 3 or 4 days a week, like just roaming around the mall with a coffee, pushing a stroller, or with my kid in the backpack sort of thing. So anyway, needless to say, when this crime happened, it hit close to home, especially so considering I was at the mall that day when the mall was evacuated, because although they arrested her, they didn't know who else was involved. So it was a really big deal. And this was long before I had my podcast. So anyway, I was watching the news really closely, trying to understand, is this as serious as the news is making it? When I realized, yes, it probably is, I started to then want to know, who are these people? Why are they doing this? Was it, what were they going to do? Because the press really wasn't doing a great job of giving the details. I ended up stumbling upon both Lindsay and her co-conspirator, James Gamble's online footprints. And they had both led, a very significant amount of their life played out online, Tumblr and other online communities. But Lindsay really stood out to me as unique and just a complete mystery because, as you said, Trevor, really intelligent. Her writing was on par with like Stephen King style, except the amount of darkness she would put in a short story, Stephen King would need to spread that over, 5 or 6 full novels. Like, her writing is so intense. But anyway, when I wasn't getting the answers to the questions that I wanted from the press, like why was this going to happen and who are these people, I just decided to write her a letter. I knew she was in prison, at the prison near my house, or in my neighborhood or my community or whatever you want to say. So I just wrote her a letter, and this had nothing to do with my podcast. This is back in 2015, long before I started my podcast. And my letter to her was almost like a victim impact statement. It was just kind of saying, I'm Jordan. I'm this regular guy from Halifax with a family, and I'm also into horror movies and the kind of stuff you're into. And I just kind of explained to her how the crime affected me. Because for a little while there, it just made me, I'm cautious anyway, but it made me extra cautious about being in public. And then just the idea about, my kids being with me and stuff, it just really upset me. So I wrote her a letter, didn't think I would ever hear back from her. My kind of the best case scenario I thought was she would read the letter and maybe it would affect her in some way. Anyway, I didn't hear anything back. Didn't expect to. 5 months passed maybe, and then just a letter shows up in my mailbox from Lindsay Suvaneroth, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like, it's handwritten, so I'm like, this is that girl who the press makes seem like an absolute monster writing me. And I read it, and the letter was like, wasn't apologetic, but it was just kind of empathetic for a paragraph or two, and then she just went on to talk about movies and her writing, and just talking like we're old friends. So I'm just like, wow. Wrote her back, and we went back and forth for letters from that. Started in 2015, shortly after she was arrested, and we've been kind of like pen pals up until present day. And recently she
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can laugh.
What a way to get
a yeah, what a pen pal, hey?
Yeah.
But anyway, and it's
how many letters how many letters over the years?
A closet full.
Wow.
Like lots of them, hundreds. But it was in the letters mainly are short, but a lot of it was more like the interview. Every letter I'd have like a question. She'd send me back kind of like an answer with a drawing she made or a short story she wrote or something. But anyway, what ended up happening was, so we kind of gained some trust throughout this period of time. And then she had mentioned that she was considering giving an interview now that she's been giving a life sentence. And she was kind of asking me to look into a certain journalist that had requested an interview because she wanted to see if, this is someone that she should fear spinning her words or something like that. And I had told her, I said, if you're, worried about someone spinning your words in a direction you don't want it to go, just come on my podcast and tell the story. And she knew I had a podcast because it was on the radio in Halifax, and she was in prison in Halifax, and she had a prison in her cell. So anyway, she said, yeah, sure, I'll come on and tell you the whole story. And she did exactly that. She, like, warts and all, she told every bit of the story in graphic detail. It's absolutely chilling to listen to because she talks about mass murder and ideal victims and what she would say to taunt her victims. She talks about that the way any of us would talk about what we're having for supper tomorrow night.
Truly. Yep. Just as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which made it was frightening to listen to her talk about these things. Like you said, like we would talk about any normal subject. Very frightening.
Yeah. In the 3-hour interview, there was one point she laughed, and that was the point when she was talking about what she wanted to say to someone as she killed them. And I thought that was really upsetting.
It was very upsetting. You used it like a weapon in the show. There's no kidding that I bet you a number of listeners, myself, full disclosure, stopped and just had to like sit back and go, well, I mean, I turned it off and then started venting to you. Like I started sending you audio.
Yeah, I'm getting messages from you.
Yeah. Like, thank God all your listeners aren't like me. You'd never get any peace. But yeah, because I'm that guy, right? I'm listening to Jordan's podcast, and if something hits me, boom, I message him right away. And it's always
message me. You send me a voice message.
Yeah, I send him an audio message. Hey, that got me a job on your show for an episode, right?
Hell yeah.
I would have typed, you never would have heard these sultry tones.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So let's move on to what brought you back to Slamfire and what brought me back to the Nighttime Podcast, and that is, that I'm involved in the firearms hobby, but I reached out to you to say, wow, Jordan, I actually own the firearms that they were going to use.
Mm-hmm.
And for lack of a better word, I was expressing to you that I was taking exception with the media's use of the term mass shooting. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the media doesn't understand, of course, what these firearms are, what their capacity is, what they're capable of actually producing as far as damage. They're going to use the term mass shooting every time. And one body is too many, obviously. But they were, I know I couldn't correct the media, and I know I can't correct the public, but I wanted to educate you on, hey, Jordan, this is what these guns were, and this is what they're capable of doing. And you actually had me on the show, and I demonstrated how painfully slow it is to load the rifle in question. So for my co-host here, the firearms were a Cooey Model 84 single shot 12 gauge. He had one box of birdshot ammunition. The rifle was a Savage Model 99 lever action internal rotary magazine with a whopping 13 rounds of ammunition. Now,
yeah, when I saw the messages there, it's like a single shot shotgun with birdshot. What is this?
That
like it seemed that they were fantasizing about this without any real way to do it.
Right. The logistics were falling apart before they even tried to put the plan in place. So not only did they have those two firearms, neither of them had experienced firing. They had both never fired a gun before, and they were going to take a city bus to the mall. So that wouldn't have been suspicious at all. And Jordan, correct me on these numbers if I'm wrong here. Please jump in. Of the 13 rounds of rifle ammunition, they were going to keep 2 for themselves. So now we're down to 11 rounds. James was also going to murder his parents. So now we're down to 9 rounds. And James was also going to murder a co-conspirator. So they potentially could have arrived at the mall with 8 rounds of rifle ammunition. Is that correct, Jordan?
That's, yeah, plus the birdshot, which
plus the
90-something pound girl was going to, wearing tights, was going to use.
Yeah. She would have had quite a surprise after the first time she pulled the trigger. So Jordan and I are planning to meet up at a Nova Scotia indoor range where he's going to shoot these guns, give him a crash course in how to load them, and then say, there you go. I'll put you on the clock. I'll put you under a little bit of stress. See if you can shoot 25 rounds of 12 gauge. See how long that's going to take. And then see if you can, shoot 5 rounds out of this rifle and then reload it. What I tried to explain to Jordan when I went on his show was, once the shooting started, by the time he would have fired 5 rounds, started to reload, by the time he reloaded the gun, there would have been nobody left.
Yeah.
Everybody would have vacated the area.
Yep.
And you can be shot with birdshot from a reasonably close distance and live. Like, unless they were going to shoot people to wound them and then walk up and execute them, the birdshot, as I said to Jordan, is called birdshot for a reason. So, what do you want to talk about next, Jordan? You want to talk about how you have something in mind, or? Yeah,
well, one thing I thought it's interesting, especially given a lot of the things she said, is she was handed a life sentence, and the reason for that, well, there's a variety of reasons, but one that the judge made reference to is the fact that this attack, had it have happened and had she had not been arrested at the airport, would have had the type of, or would have led to the type of damage that a terrorist attack would have had. So not only did the press get the story wrong, some even said it could have been Canada's worst mass murder, mass shooting ever. I've seen that in multiple articles, but even through the court system, it seems like nobody really took the time to think about the fact that they didn't have any strategy plan. They didn't have the right weapons for what they were planning to do.
It was conspiracy to commit, right? So that's why she got a life sentence, but it was life sentence 10, right? So after 10 years, she's able to apply for parole.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So, which is when you're talking life sentence, that's the minimum. So after 10 years, she can apply for it.
Wouldn't a manslaughter be
well, manslaughter is, yes, there's no intent. That was intent. So they conspired to actually commit murder. So that was
it's the shortest with intent.
That's not on the table. So it's it's the least amount she could get convicted of if she was convicted. Basically.
Interesting. Yeah, and the problem they had, that they couldn't really find a lot of comparable cases, because I guess conspiracy to commit murder is one thing, but really what they were doing was conspiracy to commit mass murder, which is, of course, is a different thing, but there's not really a law in the books for that.
Well, she didn't actually carry that out, and he didn't carry that out either.
And if they had, it still wouldn't have been really mass, and it certainly wouldn't have been Canada's worse.
That is correct.
It just, I just think of it as like hearing Trevor kind of describe the weapons and give the demonstration. It's almost like what I think about is, it just to play devil's advocate. If I was talking to a friend on the internet and I said, I'm going to go to the mall, I'm pretty sure I know karate, and I'm going to go in the food court and I'm just going to kick the shit out of everybody and kill them with my karate. I don't know karate, and I would probably just get my butt kicked in the mall. But if my intent is to go in there and just break people's necks and kick their faces
without the ability to do it,
you might be able to get a couple kids.
You haven't seen me in person.
No, I have. I'm pretty sure you could take 3 5-year-olds at once.
Okay, Jordan, there's a difference. The difference is intent. Right? So if you have intent...
No, he's making a good analogy here, Kelly. His intent is to use karate that he doesn't possess.
So do you think he would have gotten... Do you think he would have gotten the same sentence if he intended to go do it with karate than he did with
or a machete? Let's say he had a samurai sword, and you're like, I'm going to go kill 10 or 20 people.
Okay, so there's a difference between samurai sword and karate, because you haven't been trained in karate, right? But samurai sword, there is
have to be.
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree. I think that if you're not trained in the arts of the samurai, I think that your chance of how many people are you going to get as an untrained person that's 90 pounds with a samurai sword? One.
Probably about as many as you would get with a shotgun.
Yeah,
with a single shotgun with bird shot. Yeah, you probably get 0 with that. But at least with their lever action, they would have got it like 1 or 2.
Yeah, assuming that they could hit their targets. Yeah, but after 5 rounds, the mall would have been cleaned. There would have been nobody left.
Yeah.
It's I find there's so many aspects to the story that are interesting, both like how the law interprets what they did, knowing that, like, in my mind, a lot of what they said and did, although they probably intended to do it, it was very fantasy.
Yeah, no question.
What I'm curious about, that I'd like to hear you talk about, again, I'm a layman about firearms. This guy, James Gamble, he was taking selfies and videos of himself walking around his bedroom, like with his dad's shotgun and his dad's rifle. You had Trevor, when you're on my show, kind of made reference to the fact that there's laws in Canada about how you store guns. I'd like to know how that works. Like, if I've never been in a house, well, I think my dad had a gun, but I don't know where it was or anything about it. But what's to prevent a 19-year-old son from just taking his dad's gun and walking around the house with it?
Well, so there's a couple of ways that the owner, who's the only one, the person with the license, the only one who's allowed to have access to the firearms in their home. Obviously, other people can live in the home. Like Christina doesn't have, my wife, she doesn't have a license. She's not supposed to be able to access my firearms. So how do I prevent my wife or my 19-year-old son from accessing my firearms? There's 2 ways. You can either lock them in a safe with a combination that you do not hand over to anyone in the family other than yourself, or a safe with a key, and you don't provide access to the key to anyone else in the house. Or a non-restricted gun can simply be stored trigger locked. So this rifle and this shotgun could have been stored in his father's bedroom or under the bed, and provided they were trigger locked, that would have made them compliant with Canadian law. In the photos that I've seen, these firearms were not locked. So that begs the question, did the father not lock them, or were they locked and the son knew how to remove the locks?
Yeah, because
if you don't suspect your kid of being a mass murderer and he's 19 and his dad is an avid hunter, there's a good chance, it stands to reason, that dad takes son out hunting or shooting or whatever and says, "Go grab the guns. The trigger lock combo is 4, 5, 6 or whatever."
And doing so, he's breaking the law.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
He is,
like
absolutely.
Even I wouldn't do that. Like I've got my kids into shooting and that kind of thing. They don't know my combo, and they won't know my combo.
And they shouldn't. However, not everybody is as diligent in following the law and the safety procedures as we are.
Now, this wasn't the case, Matthew. It wasn't a father-son hunting relationship because James admitted that he has never fired a gun.
Okay, well, there you go. So maybe dad hadn't locked up the guns. Do we know how he got access to the guns? Is that part of the
We don't.
case file?
That's never been disclosed.
All that's owed is because what's interesting is their relationship, Lindsay and James, the two main conspirators, the entirety of their relationship happened on Facebook Messenger. They never once talked on the phone or went on Skype or anything. It was all in chat. And those logs of their chat had become court records, so it's available to the public. So you get to see everything from the first hello to her message saying I'm at the airport now, getting on the plane, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And throughout the chats, often he says I have my dad's guns in my room right now, and he's playing with them, stacking up the shotgun shells and all this stuff. So it seemed like it was the kind of thing he could get easily, but he never went into how he was able to get it or where they were stored or anything.
Well, he admitted that he's never fired a gun before, correct? And
exactly,
she as well.
Yeah. She, in fact, the mall as a location was the 4th or 5th option. They were trying to do everything they could to avoid using the guns. They were trying to find places that they could use knives instead. Their first idea was a hospital where they could find a ward where people weren't able to get out of their beds.
So what they were doing is they were looking for what we call soft targets, places where people can go and they'll get the mass casualty, right?
With the least amount of resistance.
They're not going to. So if there was security guards on the premises because he said, I need somebody else that's going to be there, right?
Yeah,
somebody
so I don't
get ambushed. But what's going to happen is if somebody was there who actually has the capability of basically a resistance, they wouldn't have picked that target. They picked a food court, or they were picking a hospital where there was no resistance. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
How one of the things that's kind of weird about this, I'm happy that they stopped them and arrested them before they got too far. It seems like such a low effort, low everything to start with. They're talking about dark things. They're both into this thing. They talk on Facebook Messenger. One of them's drunk while they're talking about this stuff. They decide to fly out and meet each other. You got to wonder about whether they would have gone through with it, or whether this guy was trying to meet a girl to talk to, or what this was even going to even turn into. Because we don't know now, but this seems like super low effort, super unlikely to happen stuff. I guess.
She was convicted for things written in a Facebook chat.
Yep.
And what's
the intent. She flew there though.
Yeah.
Maybe imagine these guys are part of some weird cult and they go and meet each other and they just hang out and they don't do any cult stuff. Who's to say what's even going to happen about this kind of thing? I'm not trying to empathize with them. I'm just saying this is right. So weird to start talking about possibilities when they're so ill-equipped and uninformed and
right. The thing is, what we were seeing at the time, they were referring to Columbine, right?
Yep.
What they're doing is
we're not questioning their intent. We're questioning the logistics and realism of pulling it off,
or even trying to attempt to pull it off.
Yeah, we're not questioning why they were convicted or arrested, but realistically, they could have changed their mind, and realistically, they could have maybe never made it to the mall if someone on the bus suspected there were firearms. There was a high likelihood that this was going to fall apart if they even decided to go through with it.
Correct. They were, if they were taking a bus, and you're taking a bus with a cooey and what else were they taking? Shotgun.
Molotov cocktails on the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, they were going to do Molotov cocktails on the bus too. Yeah.
Well, you can conceal those in a backpack.
Yeah, it's hard to
if you've never thrown a Molotov cocktail, you don't know. Like, there's difficulties around that, and
you're more likely to burn yourself than you are to.
I feel like if anyone here knew how to do it, it would be Matthew.
I'm staying very quiet as to not incriminate myself.
Right. So Jordan, can we talk a little bit about whether or not you believe, based on what you read, that Canadian firearms laws in a way helped reduce the possibility of this being worse?
Definitely. I don't know if I sent you the shot from the logs, but there's a part where Lindsay and James are talking about the bullets they have, the amount of bullets they have, the type of guns that they have. And he knew enough about guns to know that I have birdshot, which isn't as strong. So we need to get like really close to people. And he was talking about looking at changing from the mall to a few different other places where there'd be less chance of resistance because they didn't have good enough weapons. But he talked about trying to find someone with a firearms license to help them get better stuff, better bullets or better guns. And they were even messaging a few people that they knew that they thought may have firearms licenses, saying like, you know, can you buy us this stuff? It was almost like reading, like, and James would message them and then report back to Lindsay, like, he told me to screw off. But it was almost like listening to two underage people trying to find liquor, like trying to get someone to buy liquor.
Exactly.
And it was, and just like reading that little section of the log, it was reading Canadian firearms regulation, you know, working. Mm-hmm. Although James was able to get the guns, at least at this point, he wasn't able to get anything differently. Anything different.
He wasn't able to go get somebody to buy him buckshot ammunition or slugs. He wasn't able to get another box of ammunition for that rifle. I mean, chances are that rifle and those 13 rounds are the same age and have been together since they were purchased and are probably very old. You know, this is probably a guy who the father used to go out and shoot one deer a year, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Even with better ammo, I don't think they would have done anything different. They weren't going to reload that gun, the lever action, and their shotgun, they would have got one shot off, and that is it.
And people would have been scattering.
If they had access to lots of money, and they're in the U.S., maybe they could have gotten a semi-automatic rifle. But it seemed like this was like a spur of the moment. They're gonna take whatever garbage they've got available to them, which is just the worst stuff possible to use for this kind of thing. And
like we've often said that we have strict enough gun control in this country. We just need the people that enforce the laws to A, be aware of what's already on the books, and B, enforce it. It's like murder with a gun is bad. Well, murder is bad. Doesn't matter. You don't need to make murder doubly illegal because it's done with a gun. We see like people wanting to create gun control for the sake of gun control. Well, here's an example, I think, of gun control in Canada working. This guy knew that he was not going to be able to purchase ammunition. He tried to get legal gun owners to buy ammo for him, and no one did. If this isn't the system working, I don't know what is.
And shows she was stopped, right, at the airport because it was reported as well. I don't think that they would have been able. They would have been able to get to the mall at all. They would have been stopped.
There's a part of me that thinks the way this would have all ended up is with like a really awkward phone call from James's parents to Lindsay's parents being like, you know, your daughter is here. I don't know what's going on. Because I've been in situations like that in, you know, 17 and 18 where I just kind of crash at a girl's pad that I meet. Or actually the other way around.
Yeah.
I had a girl at my house who was like, yeah, anyway, I won't get into it.
But parents were called.
Yeah.
Busted.
This does seem like a very good case for the type of firearms or gun control that we do have in Canada. Like Trevor said, it does seem like it did its job. Yeah. And as much as I am against more gun control, I don't think I've ever made it a secret that I think that what Canada has is close to the ideal system for most countries. We have some really dumb laws. I admit that, and I don't like the extent of the gun control that we have, but the fact that there's mandatory safety training and the fact that you do go through a pretty extensive background check to get your gun license, I don't think these are bad things. And I think once you do have your license, it's great because now you can just go to the store and buy your gun and your background check is already done. You don't need to do it each time you buy a gun like you do in the States. So I do think the system worked. I think we've gone too far, and I think they still want to go farther. They still want to take more guns away from us. They still want to ban more guns, but that's not going to solve anything. This case should be used as an example to say, look, the basics, the absolute basics of our gun control system in Canada help stop crime. They help save lives.
I don't think the Canadian laws would have changed anything on this one.
Yeah, well,
put them in the States.
No,
okay,
I'm
saying, two teenagers. They have no money. They can't buy anything anyways. They're underage, which in a lot of places is going to block them.
With what you're saying, Adriel, but I'm saying it had we two motivated individuals who were stopped by this set of circumstances. It does show that if you don't have a gun license, you can't just easily go to the store and buy ammo. You have to find somebody who will get it for you, or you have to find it on the black market, which obviously isn't as easy as everybody says it is if these two teenagers couldn't figure that out.
Yep. Also, Matthew, another law that we have that would have prevented this even getting as far as it did would have been had the father not allowed the son access to the firearms.
Absolutely. Had the dad just kept them locked up properly.
Those laws are in the books.
Yeah.
But the father didn't follow them. And we know
I wonder if the father got charged with anything.
Or at the very least, the guns he shot himself, so those guns are gone.
Right.
The father may be happy to say, yeah, I never want them back, but would the guns have been gone anyway? Like, would there have been some level of accountability for the father? Did they go in and say, we have all these pictures of your son holding these guns.
You're nowhere in sight.
Yeah. Well, why did your son have access to your guns? Where's your trigger locks? Where's your gun safe?
Yeah.
So, and here's the crazy thing, Jordan. Let's say he had gotten to the mall and they would have shot some people. The only thing the father would have been charged with would have been unsafe storage.
Unsafe storage. Yeah.
Because he's not part of the conspiracy. He had no intent. The only thing that he could have been charged with would have been, that's it.
And now I'm okay with that because while dad did leave his guns unlocked, he didn't murder anybody.
That's the only crime he's guilty of.
That's right. He's not guilty of killing people. He's guilty of leaving his guns unlocked, which can lead to this. And that is a serious thing. And we all need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't believe in charging people for more serious things for whenever they do something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some people would disagree with you and they'd say, no way, he's responsible for their deaths. And you can argue that all day. I tell you what, I want him convicted of what the law that he broke, which would have been unsafe storage. And I want the book thrown at him as hard as possible. Because it's not like it was used to hold up a grocery store.
You don't charge them for conspiracy or helping us out, but do hold him accountable for the crimes that he did commit.
Yeah.
And yes, because of the serious nature, you do throw the book at him. And that's why we do have judges who are supposed to use their common sense when handing out sentences. When you have somebody who broke a law, that's a pretty serious law, but nothing bad came of it. You go, you know what? That was bad. Don't do it again. Nothing bad happened. You're cool. But then you have somebody who broke the exact same law and like 100 people die. Well, guess what? You're getting the book thrown at you to demonstrate that your negligence caused all of this. This is your fault. And everybody else should be aware that this is a possibility.
It depends on the judge.
It does depend on the judge. It does. And it also depends on, minimum sentencing and mandatory sentencing and all that stuff, which I think is a load of crap myself personally.
I think we got rid of those minimums, didn't we? Mandatory minimums?
We did.
Probably.
5 years is now. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, Jordan, any other aspects of this case you want to touch on or any more firearms related questions you want to cover?
No, I'm just I'm excited to meet with you at the range. I've never shot a gun, so that would be a cool experience anyway, but especially these guns, because this story is one that I've been for a long time now, playing through in my head, and I'd really like to see the guns in person, fire one, reload it. That'll put things in perspective, but also to hear how firearms law comes into play with this, especially safe storage. Like, I'm just thinking, if he didn't know the password or whatever it is to get thing to use the gun.
Yep.
Then this plot suddenly becomes, you know, a mass stabbing, which is when it's 2 90-pound people doing a mass stabbing at the mall. Suddenly it goes from really scary to, you know, just ridiculous,
almost comical.
Then a chair in the face is a real thing,
and it wouldn't have been a mass stabbing. Somebody would have stopped before that. And it wouldn't have been a mass shooting as well. Somebody would have stopped them before that.
Well, and wouldn't have been a suicide. It would have been an arrest.
Yeah. So, well, he was suicidal anyway, and you know, I sent you the links to that group in Lethbridge, Alberta, that does the threat assessment training. And one of the things the studies that have shown is that almost across the board, one thing that all mass shooters have in common is that they are suicidal and they plan to do this and then kill themselves. And we know that this was the case as well. Of the 13 bullets, they were going to keep 2 for themselves.
Right.
So,
and I shouldn't have said it wouldn't have been a suicide. It would have been an arrest, because there's other ways to end your own life, of course. But
of course, yeah. Now the Liberals would make you believe that the only way to do it is with a gun. So.
It's not a
all right. Wrapped it up and took a cheap shot at the Liberals. Love it. Okay, Jordan, if you don't have anything else for us, we will say goodnight and thank you once again for coming on, and ask you to plug all of your social media and that stuff.
Yeah, nighttimepodcast.com, and then I'm Nighttime Pod on all the different social media places.
Cool.
And if you can't figure out how to find me, then
you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. He's on the Twitter machine. He's on the Instagram machine, the Facebooks.
Hey, are you still syndicated?
Yeah, on Global.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's cool. I listen to you on the podcast. I should actually be a patronee. Thanks very much.
Well, the in the syndication, what that is they take like my past episodes and they edit them and re-air them on Global.
Correct.
So that's kind of cool. I'm curious to see if they have the guts to air the episodes with Lindsay. We'll see.
Oh, I got one more question for you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Tell us about your recent exchange with law enforcement.
I don't even know what to say about that. It was basically, as I said, like Lindsay, when she was arrested, she's like, I'm not saying a word.
Yep.
She pled not guilty, wouldn't talk to police, didn't say anything to anybody. The only thing they had her saying was they sent like a undercover cop posing as a fellow convict.
Inmate. Yep.
Inmate.
That's what they do.
They put her in, Lindsay was going to a court appearance and they had another inmate in the car, and the inmate did the whole like, what are you in for? And Lindsay had told her, you know, I was going to commit a shooting. That was like the only thing they had her saying in person. But anyway, she ended up changing her plea at one point. She was originally pleading not guilty. Then when it turned out that the Facebook logs were going to be evidence, because there was some question about whether they could, once Facebook logs were said to be admissible as evidence, she changed her plea to guilty, and that was it. She released a statement of facts that basically says, yes, I plan to do it. But anyway, when she came on my podcast, she told the whole thing, and I guess the police listened and were very interested in some of the things she had to say. My podcast is like heavily edited, so I had probably 5 hours to interview that was edited down to, you know, an hour of podcast kind of thing. They were, let's just say they were really interested in what may have been included in those other 4 hours.
Yeah.
And you received an official demand from the police to turn over the tapes.
Correct.
Yeah. So they had been asking for it for a little while, and I wasn't cool with giving it up just because.
Talk to my agent. He'll tell you the price.
Yeah, I'm talking to my agent and put my 6-year-old on the line. What it was like, she has an appeal coming up. She's appealing her sentence. And there was some stuff I didn't include because maybe I'm thinking it could be taken to be, you know, have something to do with her appeal or something. And some of it was just, as I mentioned earlier, she's a neo-Nazi, unapologetic. I didn't want to include anything on my show that had anything to do with, you know, hate speech or any of this sort of stuff. So a lot of that was edited out. But anyway, I just felt like I would be exposing myself to some liability to just be like, you know, here's all this stuff that I didn't get permission to give to you. So I was telling them I didn't want to give it up, and then they got a legal order that required me to. Yeah. So that's basically it. And I don't think it's like I was expecting to hear something. I knew something would come of it.
Are you absolved of any liability or legal action on her part once they legally take this from you?
I believe, because I have, like, I can't say no. It's like
It's not like you gave it to them by choice. It's not like you offered it to them.
Order to actually provide it. Now, prior to her actually changing her plea, she was under legal advice by her lawyers to not say anything. Once she changed her plea, because of the introduction of the Facebook Messenger stuff, then she was able to say something. But she's automatically, because of her life sentence, she is automatically going to have an appeal. It doesn't matter whether she was convicted or not. Right?
Well, she wasn't convicted. She'd have nothing to appeal.
Right. Yeah. So she pled, right? But yeah, so you're good because of the fact that you were court ordered.
So she can't sue him later and say,
absolutely not.
Yeah, right on.
Could you imagine that episode of the podcast?
Oh man. Well, here's what's going to happen. She's going to either win her appeal and be given time served and deported, or she's going to lose her appeal, and at the first round where she can apply for parole, she'll be granted parole and deported. Nobody wants to pay for her to stay in our country. She'll be she's given her a pound of flesh. We don't need to pay the taxpayer bill to have an American in our jail. Export her back to the United States first chance you get, and she's never allowed to travel here again. We're good.
She'll serve here in Canada. She will.
What's that?
Yeah,
she will serve her sentence here in Canada. She will lose her appeal because it's automatic, but she'll lose it, and she'll be deported as soon as she wins her appeal. As soon as she's able to.
So if she's granted parole, she'll be
deported.
That's right, and I predict that she'll be granted parole in the first request.
Probably yes, because
just to get her out of here.
Just to get her out of here. Yep.
So, fine with me.
Yep. So speaking of getting out of here.
Yeah.
we're on 2.5 hours now, Jordan. So we're gonna cut you loose, buddy, and wrap up our show. And
thanks for having me.
Oh, listen, come back anytime. It's always interesting to have you come on, and because you bring such a unique perspective to it all, right? So
I made sure that I was on tonight. I'm normally I've been busy lately, but when I heard you were coming on, I'm like, yep, I'm making sure I'm on tonight.
Yeah, see, we can't get him back on, but you can.
We'll do another episode after we go to the range together, Trevor.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Can we give feedback?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
On your episode, your range trip, and see now after the range, are you going to be a gunny?
Well, I doubt it. Maybe we'll see.
So when's this range trip, and how do I get in on this?
You have to come to the AMA indoor match, March 24th
in Halifax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry, Jordan. I like you, but that's a long drive.
Yep.
I just went to Georgia and back, so I'm done for driving.
You're done for driving. Jordan and I will either go on Saturday morning before I go to the match, or Sunday morning, depending on how much Andy makes me drink Saturday night and how hungover I'm going to be.
Hey, Jordan.
Sounds like fun.
I'm going to be there in June. Do you want to hang out?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Let me know when you're here.
Okay.
There you go. Cool. All right, Jordan, thank you so much. And listeners, if you haven't checked out the Nighttime Podcast, you are missing out. It's a lot of fun, and it could open you up to a whole new world of other podcasts that you will enjoy. So be sure to check it out. Jordan, we'll talk soon, man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
He's so cool.
Very.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's do this.
Yeah. If you'd like to send the show an email, send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com.
What an unusual thing to say after the main topic.
I am continuing as is, and I am not editing anything. We're 2.5 hours. I am posting this tonight.
Driver, let's go.
It's a good interview.
It was a good interview, and
now it's done. Move on. Finish the show.
Okay, let's go.
Podcast reviews. Reviews on a podcast thing. Shoutouts, Trevor.
Yes, I have shoutouts to Captain Andy for all the amazing work he did to that Lee Enfield and for correcting me live on air tonight. You're a jerk. To the mini snaps, to Dawn and Filthy. Ginger Snaps is dead to me. That's all I got.
I got one, Calvin for the pho. Kelly?
I'm going to say to CCFR, I just wanted to let everybody know that they're once again going to be our national sponsor for Project Maple Shade. I wanted to say thank you for them. I'm going to post that everywhere and let them know that because of the CCFR, we're going to be traveling across the country again this year. So thank you very much.
Cool.
And thank you guys for traveling across the country for your vacation.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Yes, I'm using all my vacation days to come and see everybody in Alberta and you know.
And train everyone along the way. Train the whole country along the way.
Yes.
Yeah, just that.
And out in the East Coast as well. Dates, by the way, will be posted soon. We're just waiting to get back some range agreements, filthy, from people. But once we get those back, we will be posting the dates and then people can start signing up.
Cool. Matthew?
To Colby and Dave.
Yeah.
All right. Patreon supporters, we have 87. If you'd like to, head on over to patreon.com/slamfireradio. Support us there. We'll send you a patch and sticker in the mail. If you haven't received a patch and sticker in the mail, email us again. Please join one or more of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR. Check us out on Gun Owners of Canada, and like us on Facebook. Over on Facebook, we have about 2,000 likes, and it's a great place to chat about things that you might have heard on the show and find other like-minded people. Thanks for listening, everyone.
James chimed in just in time to let me know I'm dead to him too. And here I thought he wasn't listening tonight.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.